Said this are government members of the Integrity Commission Oversight Committee calling on the commissioners of the anti-corruption body to appear before them.
While we are undoubtedly willing to engage with the directors, we believe that it's important for the commissioners themselves to be here.
And Julian Robinson called for greater transparency from the Integrity Commission about its rulings.
The decision of the Director of Corruption Prosecution should be shared with the Parliament when the reports are tabled, not just the summary to say whether you're charging or not.
Keith Clark's widow became visibly upset and irritated during cross-examination today in the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court to rule whether Vybz Kartel should be released from prison tomorrow.
Tax admin Jamaica defends its decision to undertake a $1 billion retrofit of a property leased in Mandeville.
In news from the rest of the world, Haiti's new prime minister vows to seek unity after he's selected by Transitional Council.
No verdict on day one of jury deliberations in Trump's hush money case.
In headline sports, world champion Sharika Jackson among 9 Jamaicans down for Diamond League meeting in Oslo tomorrow.
And later on our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, the Jamaican economy grew by almost 2% for the first quarter of the year compared to the corresponding period last year. President of the Manufacturers and Exporters Association, Sidney Thwaites, economist, Dr. Adrian Stokes, and Managing Director at Celogen Limited, Devon Sterling, will join us.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, would you want to vote directly for Jamaica's president? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, the Prime Minister has announced a $25 billion project to significantly improve the supply of water to Western Jamaica. We'll get reactions from the Agricultural Society and the President of the Negril Chamber of Commerce.
At 7, it's Think Like a Stockbroker with Chevon Campbell.
And at 8, it's Boyetings After Dark with Kareem Boyetings Weathers. All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, Nationwide Radio, jm.com, and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. This Wednesday afternoon, it's Wednesday, May 29, 2024.
News at 5 teasers were brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. Government parliamentarians sitting on the Integrity Commission Oversight Committee are calling on the commissioners to appear before them. Since the inception of the Oversight Committee, only the Integrity Commission's directors have faced lawmakers. However, lawmakers believe the commissioners have serious questions regarding policy that must be clarified. Chevon Campbell reports.
At Wednesday's meeting of the Parliament's Oversight Committee, Legal Affairs Minister Marlene Malahoo Fort expressed shock that the commissioners of the Integrity Commission have not seen it fit to appear before them.
A perception being strengthened that there is either unwillingness or inability for the commissioners, as commissioners of the Parliament, commissioners of this Commission of Parliament, not being available to discuss with us matters. While we are undoubtedly willing to engage with the directors, we believe that it's important for the commissioners themselves, Chairman, to be here. And please correct me if I am wrong in my understanding and expectation that this morning's meeting would have been an engagement with the commissioners themselves, even if they are supported by the staff of the commission.
The meeting was attended by the IC's 4 directors, namely Kevon Stevenson, Craig Beresford, Keisha Prince Kamika, and Ryan Evans. Executive Director Greg Christie and the Commission's Chairman, retired Justice Seymour Panton, were absent. Chairman of the Oversight Committee, Edmund Bartlett, confirmed that Justice Panton had been invited to attend the meeting. But Mr. Bartlett explained that he was unable to attend due to a scheduling conflict. Minister of Justice Delroy Chuck similarly agreed that the commissioners have many questions to answer.
I think the Oversight Committee and the country would like to get some understanding from the commissioners. What are the policies overseeing the Integrity Commission? And therefore the question is, are the policies being pursued by the IC likely to get to that result where we see, for instance, even if we use Transparency International, that for the last few years have given us a score of about 44. Is the IC looking at those scores and say, how can we increase it to 50 or 60?
And Southwest St. Catherine MP Everald Warmington also wants certain issues regarding the Integrity Commission's mandate addressed.
Those are questions and issues that I believe we ought to deal with in the other committee and lay it out clearly. The other issue is, you mentioned this thing about going way back. There's no institution, nothing at all, that have any remit in dealing with issue before you're established. They were established on the 23rd of October 2017. They have no legal authority to go beyond that date unless there were investigation being done at that time by the Contractor General or any of those bodies that were subsuming to this one. There's no legal basis on which they can do that. None at all.
These include the ability of the Integrity Commission to investigate matters that predate its creation. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for South Eastern St. Andrew, Julian Robinson, called for greater transparency from the Integrity Commission about its rulings. Mr. Robinson raised the concern about the Director of Prosecutions, Keisha Prince Kamika, opting not to charge the Manager of Collections at Jamaica Customs, Ava Williams, for failing to submit her statutory declarations.
Even if not the full decision, at least a summary should be provided to us in the Parliament, because when I look on it without knowledge, I'm trying to determine why go charge X person and why not charge Y. And you clearly have very solid reasons for it, but that's not shared with us. We may get to more serious offenses in the future, so I believe the Commission, and I believe this is within our remit, Chairman, that the decision of the Director of Corruption Prosecution should be shared with the Parliament when the reports are tabled, not just the summary to say whether you're charging or not, but the reasons.
PNP caretaker for Central Westmoreland, Dwayne Vaz, was prosecuted for a similar charge as Ms. Williams. Mr. Vaz was brought before the St. Andrew Parish Court on Tuesday, April 30, 2024, where he pleaded guilty to failing to pay the fixed penalty. Mrs. Prince Kamika said the decision not to charge was based on certain challenges in the documentation served on Ms. Williams. She also said that full rulings are not customarily shared beyond the Commission. However, Mr. Robinson recommended this practice be changed to avoid the perception of bias.
It reinforces your need for the commissioners to be here, but I'm saying we are empowered as parliamentarians on this oversight committee to make recommendations, and I'm strongly recommending, very strongly, that it be provided. And it is to protect you from accusations of arbitrariness and bias, because without more, that is the conclusion that people will draw.
Julian Robinson, Member of Parliament for South Eastern St. Andrew.
Dancehall artist Vybz Kartel will learn on Thursday if his continued detention at the Tar Street Adult Correctional Center is lawful. A ruling in his habeas corpus case is expected to be handed down at 2 tomorrow afternoon in the Supreme Court. This was confirmed by one of his attorneys, Isaac Buchanan. Habeas corpus means to bring a prisoner before the court to determine if they should be released or granted bail. It seeks to determine if a person's detention is lawful. The ruling will be delivered by Judge Andrea Thomas and follows a conclusion of arguments made by the defense and the prosecution in court on Wednesday afternoon. Lawyers representing Kartel and two of his three co-accused filed the habeas corpus application seeking their release on May 14. The application follows the Privy Council's March 14 ruling that Kartel and his co-accused have their convictions quashed for the 2011 murder of Clive Lizard Williams. The Privy Council had ordered that the case be returned to Jamaica's appeal court to decide whether a retrial is necessary for Kartel and his co-accused, Sean Storm Campbell, Kahira Jones, and Andre St. John. That determination is scheduled for June 10. The widow of businessman Keith Clark, Dr. Claudette Clark, became visibly upset and irritated during cross-examination today in the Supreme Court. This after she was accused by the defense of lying to the court in her evidence that about the night her husband was killed in 2020. Robin Williams reports 2010. Let me read that again. This after she was accused by the defense of lying to the court in her evidence about the night her husband was killed in 2010. Robin Williams reports.
King's Counsel Peter Champagne made several suggestions that irritated Dr. Claudette Clark. One of the suggestions was that she and her late husband were harboring gunmen in her basement. He stated, quote, "You told the court that your husband was shot when he was coming down and his back was turned to them. That was a lie." Dr. Clark, who held on to her clothes and made a fist, answered, "I don't agree. The scientific evidence will give you the answer to that, sir." Casey Champagne continued, "The reason why that is a lie is because when your husband was shot, you were still in the bathroom with your daughter." A perturbed Dr. Clark responded, "No, sir, that is not true, sir. A suggestion is not a fact, sir." It was this suggestion that got Dr. Clark even more unsettled. "You knew that there were gunmen in your basement." With her eyes closed and her hands still clenched into a fist, she exclaimed, "No, sir, there were no gunmen in my house. No, sir, never. I don't agree. There were no other person in my house but me and my family members." Unbothered by her responses, Casey Champagne carried on, quote, "You knew that your husband was firing his gun on the outside." Dr. Clark answered, "Sir, I spoke on 2 occasions that my husband left the room and went outside the room. I don't know because I didn't follow him. I did not see him, sir. I don't know." Casey Champagne accused Dr. Clark of deliberately not answering questions directly. He submitted that whenever she's cornered in a lie, she avoids answering. Meanwhile, Casey Champagne asked Dr. Clark if she was telling 100% truth when she told the court that her husband was coming down from the closet and he did not have his firearm in his hands. She said, quote, "I don't know the percentage. I don't teach math. I don't know the percentage, but I was speaking the truth as I remember it, sir." It's been approximately 1 week since the defense began cross-examining Dr. Clark. The trial will resume on Thursday morning at 10. Robeanne Williams for Nationwide News.
Tax Administration Jamaica, TAJ, is defending its decision to undertake a $1 billion retrofit of a property leased in Greenvale, Mandeville. The $1 billion retrofit cost was revealed during a Public Accounts Committee meeting on Tuesday. The property, which is yet to be occupied, is one of 2 flagged by the Auditor General for being leased at a cost already exceeding $400 million. Mahiri Stewart reports.
In a statement on Wednesday, TAJ says the new location will serve the parishes of Clarendon, Manchester, and St. Elizabeth. It will be the 3rd largest facility of its kind on the island. TAJ says the retrofitting will include demolition works, substructure, walls and partitions, structural steel framing, and the installation of windows. Further work will include floor, wall, and ceiling finishes, joinery, fixture and furnishing, sanitary fittings, and plumbing. The retrofit bill will also cover mechanical, electrical, and plumbing structured cabling and air conditioning systems. The TAJ says it has adhered slavishly to government procurement guidelines through the arrangements made for the new structure. It says that currently, the administration has to provide services to the central part of the country from 2 separate spaces, which diminishes efficiency and efficacy. Meanwhile, a senior TAJ official explained that a new building of a similar size would cost approximately $2.5 billion. They state that the existing tax offices in Mandeville are overwhelmed and overcrowded with only standing room. According to the official, TAJ is paying less per square foot for the new property than it would pay for the existing. The lease also has 24 years left, which is sufficient time to depreciate the cost of the renovation. Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
Value Drug Pharmacy offers curbside pickup and delivery of your branded and generic drugs. WhatsApp your prescription to 876-881-6695. The time by Value Drug Pharmacy is
16 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial is the expert in pest control, air purification and hygiene services. Call today 876-926-4236.
The temperature by Rentokil is
32 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 27 out west in Montego Bay.
Plan your tomorrow today. Introducing JMMB's Hello Future Retirement Planning website. Figure out how much you'll need to be set for life with our calculated tools and tips at your fingertips. Visit hellofuture.jmmb.com and start your journey to your dream retirement today. Conditions apply.
Continuing the news, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the National Water Commission will create a hotline for Jamaicans to report attempts to discriminate in the trucking of water. Addressing the ongoing water crisis in Western Jamaica, he says such actions run contrary to government policy.
And we have heard this complaint over and over and over again. And so as I have the national stage addressing the issue for those persons who have been affected by this favoritism in the distribution of water or some kind of corrupt activity in diverting water for which funds have been allocated, I have directed the NWC to establish a hotline and an email dedicated to receive these complaints. And as soon as the complaints are brought to the attention of the NWC, we will pass them on to MOCA for investigations to be done to bring charges and prosecution against persons who have been identified in this regard. Madam Speaker, we take it very seriously. There should be no corruption or favoritism in the distribution of water.
Mr. Holness says these complaints will be passed on to the Major Organized Crime and Anti-Corruption Agency, MOCA, for investigation.
We are allocating significant resources. When you put everything together, well, we are more than $300 million in allocation for drought response. But it is disturbing when I go into some areas and we hear complaints that the truck is only stopping at some people's gate. The truck doesn't come to the community, it stops down the road. Somebody called the truckman and he's diverted to somewhere else. All of that reduces the effort and impact of the government's expenditure. We are spending the resources are being allocated, and the people who should benefit may not get the benefit because some greedy person, some connected person, some unscrupulous person has diverted the benefit from the people.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness, he was speaking in the House of Representatives on Tuesday.
Haiti's new Prime Minister, Dr. Gary Conille, has vowed to seek unity. He made the vow in his first public statement since being selected by the Transitional Council to lead the government. Writing on social media platform X in Haitian Creole on Wednesday, Dr. Conille says, "Together we will work for a better tomorrow for all the children of our nation." He thanked the civil society groups, political parties, and members of the Haitian diaspora who proposed him as a candidate, saying he was honored to have been chosen. Dr. Conille on Tuesday submitted his resignation as UNICEF's Regional Director for Latin America and the Caribbean, a post he has held since January 2023. He previously served as Prime Minister of Haiti from October 2011 to May 2012 under then-President Michel Martelly. In his new role, Dr. Conille shares executive power with the presidency, which has been vacant since the July 2021 assassination of President Jovenel Moïse, whose death left a power vacuum which criminal gangs began to take advantage of later that year.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The world in a minute. Day one of deliberations in Donald Trump's criminal hush money trial ended without a verdict on Wednesday. The jury was dismissed for the day after deliberating for more than 4 hours. The panel of 12 New Yorkers will resume deliberations at 9:30 Thursday morning. The jurors sent 4 notes on Wednesday after they started deliberations. They requested to rehear the judge's jury instructions and asked to be read back some testimony from witnesses Michael Cohen and David Pecker. The jury is to decide whether former President Trump is guilty of 34 felony charges of falsifying business records related to a hush money payment to an adult film star before the 2016 presidential election. Trump, who also faces 3 other criminal cases while running again for president, has pleaded not guilty to the charges. A felony conviction of a former president and a presumptive GOP nominee would be unprecedented.
Votes are being counted in what is seen as South Africa's most closely fought elections since the African National Congress, the ANC, came to power 30 years ago. Long lines snaked outside polling stations across the country. An electoral official in Johannesburg told the BBC the queues were reminiscent of the historic 1994 election when black people could vote for the first time and which saw Nelson Mandela being elected president. Many people were still waiting to vote when the polls officially closed at 9 p.m. local time. But the Electoral Commission said they would all be allowed to cast their ballots. The first results will start to trickle in on Thursday morning, and final results are expected over the weekend. The ANC has lost support due to anger over high levels of corruption, crime, and unemployment. Opinion polls suggest it could lose its majority in Parliament.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories in nationwide news at this hour. Government members of the Integrity Commission Oversight Committee are calling on the commissioners of the anti-corruption body to appear before them.
And Member of Parliament Julian Robinson calls for greater transparency from the Integrity Commission about its rulings.
The Supreme Court to rule tomorrow afternoon whether Vybz Kartel should be released from prison.
Tax Administration Jamaica defends its decision to undertake a $1 billion retrofit of a property leased in Mandeville.
I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com. and on the Nationwide app, available on Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
If you're a teacher from Manila, nurse worker, college professor, a businessman from St. Ann, NCB is the bank for everyone. Enough respect, big up every Jamaican. NCB, a build a better nation. We're your bank for wealth creation. NCB are the people's bank. Time now for we own a bank. NCB are the people's bank.
NCB is the people's bank. Therefore, the people should own the bank. There's a saying, if you buy the milk, you should own the cow.
Me just love me Jamaican bank. NCB are the people's bank.
Investing involves risks. Please review the NCB FG prospectus and seek financial advice before making any investment decision. Visit goipo.jncb.com for application details.
Straight from the rock so it flows. Enjoy life letting go. Feel the breeze, mountain reach, water clean, nature green. Everything's good with Catherine Speed. Rain or sun is shining, Mother Nature's blessings. Nature green, everything's good with Catherine Speed.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. World 200 meters champion Shericka Jackson is among 9 Jamaicans listed for the Oslo Bislett Games in Norway tomorrow, the 6th stop on the 2024 Wonder Diamond League circuit. Jackson will run in the women's 200 meters against the informed Brit Daryl Nita, Marie-Josée Tallou, and Jenna Prendini. Jackson, speaking on the eve of the event, reiterated that her main aim is to land an individual Olympic gold and also to launch another assault on the world 200 meters record.
I'm yet to have an individual gold medal at the Olympic Games, so definitely that's one of my goals this year, to work hard, and I'm definitely hoping to achieve that at the end of August. Just to be among world record holders is a good feeling. Coach and I has been working on so many things this year. Last year we came close, and we also did an attempt at, I think it was Brussels or Zurich, and it went pretty well. So this year we're working on the fine details and definitely hope for the best at the end of this season.
Shericka Jackson, national champion Rohan Watson and Johan Blake will challenge the Olympic champion Marcel Lamont Jacob and Akane Simbini in the men's 100 meters. Anjanette Knight, Rochelle Clayton and Genevieve Russell are entered for the women's 400 meters hurdles, while Natoya Gould-Toppin will run in the women's 800 meters. The national record holder, Rasheen Big Boy McDonald, will line up in the men's 400 meters, while Frederick Dakers is listed for the men's shot put event. Kenyan sprinter Ferdinand Omanyala is amongst a galaxy of stars set to grace the track at the Racers Grand Prix at the National Stadium on Saturday. It's a World Athletics Continental Tour Silver. Omanyala from Kenya, as we mentioned, will run in the men's 100 meters. He'll go up against the reigning world champion, the double sprint champion Noah Lyles. Omanyala can also expect strong challenges from last year's World Championships bronze medalist Darnell Hughes, Oblique Civil of Jamaica, who was fourth in that World Championship final. Now, on a recent episode of Ready, Set, Go, former American sprinter Justin Gatlin encouraged Omanyala to be ready for an amazing fan experience.
It's intense. It's like no other energy you ever felt in any kind of stadium.
Wow.
This energy surpasses any energy I've been in an Olympic stadium.
What?
Yeah, bro. It's intense.
It's that big?
Because it's the crowd has not only are they just fans of the sport, they have a passion for the sport. You see what I'm saying? Like, they'll be proud of you because you gave your all, your effort. Right?
Yeah.
If you didn't give your full effort, they'll be mad at you. And you're not even from that country. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, they love the sport that much. They be like, man, we love him, respect to him. It's like, seriously. Yeah, like, it's love. And it's the horns are like, it's like, the horns you hear out here, you ain't gonna be hearing nothing. You ain't gonna be hearing yourself. You can't even listen to your own thoughts in that Jamaican stadium.
Justin Gatlin and Nationwide 90 FM will have live coverage of the meet, and it will be during the Sports Nation Live. Jamaica's national senior men's football team will be without the services of regular captain and goalkeeper Andre Blake for about 4 to 6 weeks. Head coach of the Philadelphia Union, Jim Curtin, says their starting goalkeeper is recovering from a meniscus surgery. Curtin described the procedure as minor. He says there were a couple of little loose flaps in there, and they cleaned up his meniscus, which had a little minor tear. While Blake recuperates, he'll miss Jamaica's World Cup qualifiers against the Dominican Republic next week, Thursday at the stadium, and then 3 days later in Roseau against Dominica. And the Jamaica senior women's football team had their first training session at the Nautica Football Stadium as they prepare for the 2-match international friendly against Brazil. The first game is set for Recife on Saturday, while the second will be played in Salvador on June 4. The last time both teams met was in the group stage of the 2023 World Cup, with the game ending in a 0-0 draw. This result enabled Jamaica to advance historically to the round of 16, and it ensured that Brazil head home from the first round. Reggae Girls forward Tiffany Cameron says they're excited to renew rivalry with the Brazilian girls.
It's really humid out here, but it's nice to be in Brazil and back with the squad. I'm really excited. We're working on some new things and we're building up momentum for the game, and I'm really looking forward to this match. It's going to be very competitive and we're ready. Some great memories from the World Cup. It was a battle from the very first minute to the last one, and I'm sure they're going to be thinking about our last matchup, and it's going to be hard, but I know we're prepared and we're ready to give it our best.
Tiffany Cameron, the Jamaicans were welcome and presented with a small replica of the stadium in Recife and in Salvador, and the President Bruno Becker made the presentation. The gifts were received by Captain Alison Swaby, former national representative Alan Skilcole. For those who will remember, in the 70s he played at the Nautica team in Brazil as well. And it's now time for the Nationwide Olympic Fact. It's sponsored by Fontana Pharmacy.
This is Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Fontana Pharmacy. It's all good inside.
Did you know that Jamaica is the only country to have athletes finishing first, second, and second in a final at the Olympic Games? Yes, that's a fact. Jamaican athletes finished 1-2-2 in the women's 100 meters final at the 2008 Beijing Olympics. Shelley-Ann Fraser-Price took gold in 10.78 seconds, and Sharon Simpson and Karen Stewart both finished second with identical times of 10.98 seconds.
That was Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Fontana Pharmacy. It's all good inside.
That's sports. We're going to be back with more at 6:05.
Hyundai, the home of modern, premium, affordable vehicles. Call us at 876-630-1511. The time by Hyundai is
5:31.
Never before in our history has there been more roads built or under construction at the same time. The Maypen to Williamsfield Highway, the Montego Bay Perimeter Road, the South Coast Highway Improvement Project, and many more. We are building Jamaica.
The temperature by the office of the Prime Minister is
31 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's 28 in the western city, Montego Bay.
Invest in Jamaica and make your money grow. Invest in Mayberry Jamaican Equities Bond, a safe and purposeful way to invest. How? We carefully invest your funds in top local companies, empowering you to profit from multiple businesses, not just one. With a minimum investment of just $20,000 and an interest rate of up to 10.5% per annum, it's more than just growth. It's profit with purpose. Discover more at www.profitwithpurposeja.com or contact your investment advisor for full details. Profit with purpose. Invest with Mayberry.
Buy more and get more at Ashley Furniture Home Store. Purchase any 3-piece and over lounge set and get free accessories valued at $20,000. Get 15% off the purchase of any 7-piece and over dining set. Plus, buy select queen mattresses and enjoy 20% off. Upgrade to a king and enjoy 30% off. Finance your fave styles on 6 to 48 months. Buy more and get more at the Ashley Furniture Home Store. This is home. Offers end June 27. Conditions apply.
Does your bra ride up your back? Do your shoulders hurt from carrying the weight of your breasts? These are signs of an ill-fitting bra. When was the last time you were fitted by a bra fit specialist? The bra experts at LaBelle Femme will take care of you. Drop into the store at 53 Lady Musgrave Road, Tuesdays to Saturdays from 10 to 5, and you will see the difference. Or call 876-622-6091.
Raise your glass of milk and celebrate World Milk Day 2024 on May 30, 2024 at the Robert Lightburn High School, Trinityville, St. Thomas. World Milk Day is celebrated annually on June 1. But on May 30, Cliffviews Online will be present at this year's staging in Jamaica. Tune in as we celebrate the vital role dairy plays in delivering quality nutrition to nourish the world. Also join us in honoring the dairy farmers in St. Thomas, home of the largest population of dairy farmers. So don't miss Cliffviews Online at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on May 30, 2024. Catch them on the grounds of the Robert Lightburn High School in Trinityville, St. Thomas, or tune in to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Jamaica Dairy Development Board.
Taboo topics, bulletins after dusk,
riveting discussions,
celebrity news and interviews,
topics that are shunned by society,
and everything else in between.
Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m.
Boyatings After Dark.
No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored.
Boyatings After Dark.
Cover Story is brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
Drive Hyundai Hyundai vehicles beyond your dreams with an exclusive 5.99% interest rate. Yes, shop Hyundai Hyundai vehicles and get a super low 5.99% interest rate on your car loan. Plus 2 years free service, 1 year insurance, and 5 years warranty. Offer valid on all 2024 Hyundai Hyundai vehicles. Drive your Hyundai with the lowest interest, 5.99%. Conditions apply.
Good afternoon, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us here nationwide at 5. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Good afternoon, Siobhan.
Good afternoon, Sir Hughes.
Good. Well, in our cover story this afternoon, the country's economy grew by just under 2% for the January to March quarter of 2024 compared to the corresponding period last year. That's according to the latest data by the Planning Institute of Jamaica, the PIOJ. It's the 12th consecutive quarter of economic gain since Jamaica's recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. That's according to the Institute's Senior Director of Economic Planning, James Stewart.
Today, we are reporting that real gross domestic product for the Jamaican economy grew by an estimated 1.9% in the January to March 2024 quarter compared with the corresponding quarter of 2023. This represents 12 consecutive quarters of growth. The performance for the January to March 2024 quarter largely reflected the impact of 1. Increased external demand, which was facilitated by continued growth in the economies of Jamaica's main trading partners.
That's James Stewart. He's the Senior Director of Economic and Planning at the PIOJ. Well, growth for the quarter was recorded in both the goods-producing and services industries. The mining and quarrying industry was the standout performer on the goods-producing side. It grew by nearly 25%. This was followed by agriculture, which improved by nearly 8%, and manufacturing, which also grew by 2%.
However, construction declined by 4.5%. On the services side, electricity and water supply led the way with growth of 6.7%. That was followed by tourism, which advanced by 6.3%. All other sectors under services grew between 1.5 and 0.3%. The Planning Institute is projecting continued growth in the next quarter for this fiscal year.
Well, joining us to discuss further is the President of the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, Sydney Thwaites, economist Dr. Adrian Stokes, and Managing Director for Celogen Limited, Devon Sterling. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Afternoon. Afternoon, everyone.
Let's start with you, Dr. Stokes. While 2% is something that we can all be thankful for, growth is growth, we seem to be constrained in terms of our growth numbers. Outside of that, the post-pandemic boom, so to speak, when we were just recovering, we don't seem to be able to break out of the single digits or even get into, say, the 7%.
Why?
Yes. I think first we need to acknowledge the continued growth in the economy. We should not take that for granted, right? So that's a good thing. The issue that you mentioned is a long-standing one with the Jamaican economy, and a number of structural factors account for that. The one that we can discuss, and perhaps many persons will be most familiar with, is our relatively low productivity, right, in the economy, especially labor productivity. So we have to come to grips with training and overall education, especially for young people. And we have to do other things in terms of improving things like our infrastructure, better connectivity among industries, and so on. But primarily, the one that we can highlight has to do with the low productivity, and in particular, labor productivity. That's one of the significant constraints to overall growth. The other thing to look at is also new industries. We have to create industries that add greater value, right? One of the things that we are currently working through as an economy is that if you look, for example, at the BPO sector, it has employed a number of young persons, and that's a really, really good thing. To get to the levels of growth that other developing economies have seen, for example, 5, 6, 7%, we now need to move to a higher value within that sector. And that's something that you will or you can do if you have, more skilled persons or persons who are trained at a much higher level compared to what we have today.
Dr. Stokes, I'm wondering, is this a regional curse, though? Because if you read the reports from pretty much every other Caribbean country outside of Ghana, which has essentially won the geographical lottery, there seems to be the same problem, anemic growth.
Right. DOMREP has shown that you can grow your economy at fairly decent levels. But you are correct that many of our Caribbean neighbors are afflicted with this low growth issue, largely because, they are, involved in the production or certain services that are commoditized, for want of a better term. In other words, the purchasing or the pricing power isn't that significant when you talk about at a globally competitive scale. And therefore the value of the output, faces that intense competition, and it drives down the overall value. Certainly retention of value in the economy is also a big factor, and that speaks to how well you can improve the, connectedness among industries. Tourism, for example, is a big one, right? The ability to earn more from each dollar that is spent abroad in the actual economy, the domestic economy. If you understand the business model for that industry, you will see that one of the ways to drive greater value is to produce more outputs or supply more services and goods from the local economy.
Let me bring
too much import within that overall business segment.
All right, let me bring in here the president of the Manufacturers and Exporters Association, Sydney Thwaites. Your sector, Mr. Thwaites, manufacturing, recovered somewhat because it registered 2% as against 3.8% in the first quarter of 2023, which fell to 0.3 in the last quarter of the year. What's happening? Is manufacturing about to rebound strongly, or what?
I think it depends on other factors. Obviously, the growth is good and the consistent growth is good, but we really need to grow our manufacturing at a higher rate than we have. And I think we have to keep in mind that the growth has come in a time in which the high interest rates and the limited access to capital has hindered growth. So those are the policies that would have gotten in the way of the growth, and we had a little bit of growth nonetheless. But it's certainly not enough.
Mm-hmm. And Devon Sterling, Celogen, you're an engineering and real estate development company. Construction, yes, fallen again, minus 4.5%. What's happening to construction? Is the boom over?
That might very well be so, because in my field, what I have to do is always be looking at what are the indicatives, look at viability of projects that we want to roll out. And if I take it back to the basics and look at the general motives for construction, it falls into three categories. There is residential development, for affordable housing, high-end housing, single housing starts. There are commercial developments that are in support of, for example, the BPO spaces, general office spaces and for expansions in manufacturing. And there are the government projects, the capital projects for infrastructure. And when I look at each of those three broad categories, I can see where we're coming from somewhat of a high point in days past to the current situation. In capital projects, there have been several ongoing government projects that have been very large, and they are now in their completion and winding down phases. And major projects are just now building steam, so I don't think that they would have any impact on the current analysis that have been presented. If you look in commercial developments, and you find that there is a lot of working from home, and so there isn't as strong a need for general office spaces, and this is not anything new. But in terms of growth in the commercial space to support BPOs, for example, what you're seeing instead is a conversion of existing spaces from office spaces and other uses into BPOs, and a lot of the sectors is doing work from home. In terms of expansion in manufacturing, we're waiting on that sector to continue to grow before that will trickle down, as persons start to get more bullish with the industry and decide to put in more infrastructure and actual physical spaces. But I think where the biggest effect has happened is that when you look at residential developments, what we're seeing now is a softening in particular in the high-end housing. And the reasons for high-end housing usually was for Airbnb, their personal homes and for high-end rentals. And what you found is that market has softened now where there isn't as high a demand because in days past, there have been a lot of players that have entered in the market and have basically attacked that high-end because of the super profits and the shorter turnaround times that you have. And now I believe that has been mopped up. So there is great demand still in the affordable housing space, and even as that is so, there are very high barriers to entry that still exist, so that it is hard to pivot and get into the affordable housing space because that is what I consider a long game. You have to be at it for a longer time, and the barriers to entry are much higher because those have to be done at large scale to be successful. I still believe, however, that the single housing starts remain as how they are. So the aggregate of all of these movements is that what we're seeing in the construction aspect is a general downturn in the numbers from where it was in
all right, hold it
not too long ago.
Hold it there first, gentlemen. We're up on our first break.
Clearing personal, non-commercial shipments at the port? Avoid the wait. Request a contactless clearance through your agent today. It's more efficient. It's secure. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
5:47.
Fast, friendly service? Check. Delicious chicken? Check. Get Quick Chick. Drive-through available at 29 Grand Spen Road. Great taste without the wait. The temperature by Quick Chick is
31 degrees Celsius here in the capital city, Kingston, and 28 out west in Montego Bay.
More savings, more choices.
It's time for Active Home Center's anniversary sale. Celebrate another great year with big anniversary sale savings. Get up to 40% off selected windows, doors, furniture, tiles, and so much more. Get these great sale prices now through Wednesday, May 29th. See you soon in our Kingston and Montego Bay locations. Conditions apply. Active Home Center. More savings, more choices.
If you're a teacher from Manila, nurse worker, college professor, a businessman from St. Ann, NCB is the bank for everyone. Enough respect, big up every Jamaican. NCB, a build a better nation. We're your bank for wealth creation. NCB are the people's bank. Time now for we own a bank. NCB are the people's bank.
NCB is the people's bank. Therefore, the people should own the bank. There's a saying, if you buy the milk, you should own the cow.
We just love me Jamaican bank. NCB are the people's bank.
Investing involves risks. Please review the NCB FG prospectus and seek financial advice before making any investment decision. Visit goipo.jncb.com for application details.
Drive Hyundai vehicles beyond your dreams with an exclusive 5.99% interest rate. Yes, shop Hyundai vehicles and get a super low 5.99% interest rate on your car loan. Plus 2 years free service, 1 year insurance, and 5 years warranty. Offer valid on all 2024 Hyundai vehicles. Drive your Hyundai with the lowest interest 5.99%. Conditions apply.
Welcome back to the cover story as we tackle this constant subject of growth in the country. The economy grew by 1.9% over the last quarter, that's January to March, and there are still expectations for further growth in the 1 to 2% range over the next quarter and for the fiscal year. We have with us Managing Director for Cellogen Limited, Devon Sterling, economist Dr. Adrian Stokes, and President of the Jamaica Manufacturers Association, Sydney Thwaites. Mr. Sterling, there was something that you said that stuck out to me regarding the not as much demand for, say, BPO spaces and other such large-scale construction projects. Then I wonder what led the growth during the COVID period, because during that time, construction really stood out in terms of getting projects up. I believe it was at up almost 7% during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, so much so that the Prime Minister put in special measures to further enhance growth for the construction sector during that period. What is the difference then and now?
Well, I think the primary difference, is, and I don't want to sound speaking in banking, is the fact that I believe that there was a lot of liquidity back then. I think what drove the whole thing was really the activity that took place in the middle to high end housing starts. Because there was a lot of activities. There were several, new codes that have been created, and a lot of persons that were going at that piece at a time. There were also, and there still are also, a lot of affordable housing, which is still a mainstay of construction, which is going to be, in my opinion, a sector that will continue to be active regardless of the state of the economy. So what we had happening then, and it was a surprise for us as well too, because we believe that COVID would have caused a slowdown, but the demand for those kind of units at that time was still very, very high. And, the construction field is a result of what aggregate demand is. And so I was not so surprised that the construction level would have been high because the demand remained high. But I am seeing now, when we check on our reports from colleagues in the realtor space, you find that a lot of the higher end units now are spending way more days on the market now than they used to before. What we found was that there were a lot of persons who were buying into several different schemes. So you had the same customers coming in and buying different units for reasons of rentals and so on. And also we believe it was to convert liquidity into real assets, which would be a safe place, in my opinion, to put your money. So I believe that a lot of that has been mopped up now, and what we're faced with now is what we would consider now the regular demand from persons who are not as moneyed as before.
Mm-hmm. Adrian Stokes, mining and quarrying up almost 25% on the back of almost 22% in the October to December quarter last year, coming down from 164% in the April to June quarter of last year, following 114% in the January to March quarter. Explain what's happening there.
Yeah, I think it really in that sector has a lot to do with capacity utilization, right? And the significant growth that you saw in January to March of 23 was due to significant recovery in the sector, right? And then what you're seeing now is more of a ramping up. So if you look at the October to December number relative to the January to March number, the quarter over quarter, they are fairly similar, 22%, then going to 25%, representing an increase in utilization. So that would be the major reason explaining the growth in mining and quarries.
Mm-hmm. And Dr. Stokes, as well as Sydney Thwaites, with you first, Dr. Stokes, does it seem that Jamaica remains primarily focused on what I would consider extractive industries, because our growth numbers are almost entirely dictated by tourism, where agriculture is trending, whether it be up or down, and mining and quarrying? How do we now transfer transfer that, or transform that rather, towards where we should be going in terms of manufacturing and value-added production?
Right. So that's one of the points I was making earlier as it relates to low economic growth, that we are primarily engaged in industries that have very little pricing power on the international market. So we definitely need to improve a number of things, including our overall productivity. The stability of the economy is also a major factor, right? And we have a stable footing, which is something that we have not had always in this economy. We have significant amount of macroeconomic stability, which gives us the platform to build on in terms of investing in key areas in the economy. So the strategy really has to be to invest in our people, improve the infrastructure, improve or make it easier to do business in Jamaica. I think we're on the right path. The debt to GDP will be down below 70% come next year. No, that's massive. That's going to crowd in the private sector and will be a catalyst for foreign investment and also local capital to take risks. Because that's what happens, that for you to get the type of growth that the economy needs to move forward, you need risk-taking, prudent risk-taking activity. And with the debt levels falling and the risk-free rate in Jamaica falling significantly, to make money in Jamaica, you're going to have to take prudent risks, and that's a good thing. So I think as long as we continue to have the macroeconomic stability, we will have the basis for risk-taking activities that will drive the growth going forward. And of course, we must invest in our people.
And Sydney Thwaites, the impact on the output of manufacturing and exporters with the interest rates you're all having to endure now, how is that working?
I would tell you that our larger manufacturers are investing in expansion, in acquisition, in automation, and are doing the right things to increase their competitiveness internationally. The concern I have is that the gap in between our larger manufacturers and our medium-sized and small manufacturers is widening, and that's primarily due to access to capital. So if we really want to see the growth throughout our sector, we really need to find a way to give our smaller and medium-sized manufacturers access to capital at competitive rates. And I believe we would see a significant increase in our growth if that was the case.
Mm-hmm. And what would you consider the significant inhibitor in terms of access to that capital currently?
Well, we're in a period of high interest rates, and that doesn't help. But I think if we look at a market like Adamrep that has been able to achieve the higher rates of growth, their banking sector is a lot more aggressive and competitive in their practices of lending. So smaller companies and startup companies have much more access to capital than what we have here. So I think we need to work through that, because I think that's what's going to unlock a bit of growth that we haven't unlocked up till now.
Okay. Thank you very much. Sydney Thwaites is the president of the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association. Dr. Adrian Stokes, economist and managing director of Celogen Limited, Devon Sterling. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being with us inside our cover story.
All right, it was my pleasure. Take care.
Good. That's a cover story. The headlines are next.
Cover Story was brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
Say hello to peace of mind and goodbye to worry with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan and secure your medical expenses in the event of critical illness today. Call 888-367-5433 for details.
The time by Guardian Life is
6 o'clock.
Upgrade your kitchen and bathroom to the next level with Unique Living. They're the ultimate destination for all your kitchen and bathroom needs, from luxurious shower systems to exquisite faucets, vanities, sinks, toilets, closets, and more. They have it all. Visit shop number 6, 30 Dunrobin Avenue, Kingston 10, or call them at 876-755-3661. Elevate your space with Unique Living, where quality meets expectations.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Government parliamentarians sitting on the Integrity Commission Oversight Committee are calling on the commissioners of the anti-corruption body to appear before them. Since the inception of the Oversight Committee, only the Integrity Commission's various directors have faced lawmakers. However, lawmakers believe the commissioners have serious questions regarding policy that must be clarified. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
At Wednesday's meeting of the Parliament's Oversight Committee, Legal Affairs Minister Marlene Malahoo Fort expressed shock that the commissioners of the Integrity Commission have not seen it fit to appear before them.
A perception being strengthened that there is either unwillingness or inability for the commissioners, as commissioners of the Parliament, commissioners of this Commission of Parliament, not being available to discuss with us matters. While we are undoubtedly willing to engage with the directors, we believe that it's important for the commissioners themselves, Chairman, to be here. And please correct me if I am wrong in my understanding and expectation that this morning's meeting would have been an engagement with the commissioners themselves, even if they are supported by the staff of the commission.
The meeting was attended by the IC's 4 directors, namely Kevon Stevenson, Craig Beresford, Keisha Prince Kamika, and Ryan Evans. Executive Director Greg Christie and the Commission's Chairman, retired Justice Seymour Panton, were absent. Chairman of the Oversight Committee, Edmund Bartlett, confirmed that Justice Panton had been invited to attend the meeting. But Mr. Bartlett explained that he was unable to attend due to a scheduling conflict. Minister of Justice Delroy Chuck similarly agreed that the commissioners have many questions to answer.
I think the Oversight Committee and the country would like to get some understanding from the commissioners. What are the policies overseeing the Integrity Commission? And therefore the question is, are the policies being pursued by the IC likely to get to that result where we see, for instance, even if we use Transparency International, that for the last few years have given us a score of about 44. Is the IC looking at those scores and say, how can we increase it to 50 or 60?
And Southwest St. Catherine MP Everald Warmington also wants certain issues regarding the Integrity Commission's mandate addressed.
Those are questions and issues that I believe we ought to deal with in the other committee and lay it out clearly. The other issue is, you mentioned this thing about going way back. There's no institution, nothing at all, that have any remit in dealing with issue before you're established. They were established on the 23rd of October 2017. They have no legal authority to go beyond that date unless there were investigation being done at that time by the Contractor General or any of those bodies that were subsuming to this one. There's no legal basis on which they can do that. None at all.
These include the ability of the Integrity Commission to investigate matters that predate its creation. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Dancehall artist Vybz Kartel will learn on Thursday if his continued detention at the Tower Street Adult Correctional Center is lawful. A ruling in his habeas corpus case is expected to be handed down at 2 p.m. in the Supreme Court. This was confirmed by one of his attorneys, Isat Buchanan. Habeas corpus means to bring a prisoner before the court to determine if they should be released or granted bail. It seeks to determine if a person's detention is lawful. The ruling will be delivered by Judge Andrea Thomas and follows the conclusion of arguments made by the defense and the prosecution in court. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the National Water Commission will create a hotline for Jamaicans to report attempts to discriminate in the trucking of water. Addressing the ongoing water crisis in Western Jamaica, he says such actions run contrary to government policy.
And we have heard this complaint over and over and over again. And so as I have the national stage addressing the issue, for those persons who have been affected by this favoritism in the distribution of water or some kind of corrupt activity in diverting water for which funds have been allocated, I have directed the NWC to establish a hotline and an email dedicated to receive these complaints. And as soon as the complaints are brought to the attention of the NWC, we will pass them on to MOCA for investigations to be done to bring charges and prosecution against persons who have been identified in this regard. Madam Speaker, we take it very seriously. There should be no corruption or favoritism in the distribution of water.
Mr. Holness says these complaints will be passed on to the Major Organized Crime and Anti-Corruption Agency, MOCA, for investigation.
We are allocating significant resources. When you put everything together, well, we are more than $300 million in allocation for drought response. But it is disturbing when I go into some areas and we hear complaints that the truck is only stopping at some people's gate. The truck doesn't come to the community, it stops down the road. Somebody called the truckman and he's diverted to somewhere else. All of that reduces the effort and impact of the government's expenditure. We are spending the resources are being allocated, and the people who should benefit may not get the benefit because some greedy person, some connected person, some unscrupulous person has diverted the benefit from the people.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Opposition spokesman with responsibility for affairs concerning Portmore, Vybz Jackson, says the attempt by the Holness administration to transform the municipality into the 15th parish was a return to political tribalism. He made the claims during his contribution to the sectoral debate in the House of Representatives on Tuesday. Mr. Jackson called on Jamaicans to condemn the behavior.
What is being pursued, Mr. Speaker, by the government goes far beyond just Portmore, which seeks to turn back what this country has achieved over the past 44 years in detribalizing our electoral process. It is a regrettable and dangerous retrograde path that all well-thinking and decent persons must resist. Mr. Speaker, we know what happened in the 80s. We know what happened with the tribalized politics. And we on both sides have worked together to create the EOJ, to non-tribalize the creation of political boundaries. 44 years going, we have achieved that. Why this government would want to turn that back?
In January, Prime Minister Andrew Holness placed attempts to make Portmore Jamaica's 15th parish on hold as the country geared up for the local government elections. Mr. Holness at the time said the government's intention to create a new political administration for Portmore had nothing to do with trying to gain a political advantage. However, Mr. Jackson says this was proved false. He pointed to the Prime Minister's failure to condemn then Works Minister Everald Warmington's comment that separating Portmore would give the JLP control of the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation.
And this was continuously denied by the government. Then, alas, former senior cabinet minister and member from Southwest St. Catherine, in celebration of the sinister plot, affirmed publicly that the JLP will take control of the St. Catherine municipality and will not lose the East Central seat ever again, because they now will be getting the boundary changes they wanted. On record, Mr. Speaker, the public statement since then was never refuted by the Prime Minister. Never refuted by the Prime Minister.
Vybz Jackson, opposition spokesman with responsibility for affairs concerning Portmore. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Sports is next.
Welcome deluxe, the cream cracker that rises to the top.
So crisp, so light, so buttery.
When you're good, you're just good. Hey, had the national flavor. You go want to buy this pack. So good, it's just so good. Welcome deluxe, the cream cracker that rises to the top.
So crisp, so light, so buttery.
National Baking Company, just so good.
Invest in Jamaica and make your money grow. Invest in Mayberry Jamaican Equities Bond, a safe and purposeful way to invest. How? We carefully invest your funds in top local companies, empowering you to profit from multiple businesses, not just one. With a minimum investment of just $20,000 and an interest rate of up to 10.5% per annum, it's more than just growth. It's profit with purpose. Discover more at www.profitwithpurposeja.com or contact your investment advisor for full details. Profit with purpose. Invest with Mayberry.
Outperform, outlast. We top performance. Jackama. Reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electricians. Fancy select tools, 3 parts and 3 repairs. 3 parts, 3 repairs. 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-61124. Delta Supply, we service what we sell.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's Word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis, weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
The Oasis is brought to you by Solar Tech Jamaica. We use the gift of the sun to power our world.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. The World 200 meters champion Shericka Jackson is among 9 Jamaicans listed for the Oslo Bislake Games in Norway tomorrow, the 6th stop on the 2024 Wonder Diamond League circuit. Jackson will run in the women's 200 meters against the informed Brit Daryl Neater, Marie-Josée Tillou from the Côte d'Ivoire, and Jenna Prendini from the USA. Jackson, speaking on the eve of the event, reiterated that her main aim is to land an individual Olympic gold and to launch another assault on the world 200 meters record.
I'm yet to have an individual gold medal at the Olympic Games, so definitely that's one of my goals this year, to work hard, and I'm definitely hoping to achieve that at the end of August. Just to be among world record holders is a good feeling. Coach and I has been working on so many things this year. Last year we came close, and we also did an attempt at, I think it was Brussels or Zurich, and it went pretty well. So this year we're working on the fine details and definitely hope for the best at the end of this season.
That's Shericka Jackson. National champion Rohan Watson and Johan Blake will challenge the Olympic champion Marcel Lamont Jacob and Akani Simbini in the men's 100 meters. Andrew Knight, Russell Clayton and Genevieve Russell are entered for the women's 400 meters hurdles, while Latoya Gould-Toppin will run in the women's 800 meters. National record holder Rashid McDonald will line up in the men's 400 meters, while Frederick Dakers is in the men's shot put. Kenyan sprinter Ferdinand Omanyala is amongst a galaxy of stars set to take part in the Racers Grand Prix. The World Athletics Continental Tour Silver is set for the National Stadium on Saturday. Omanyala will run in the men's 100 meters, where he'll go up against the reigning world champion, the sprint double champion of the world, Noah Lyles. Omanyala can also expect strong challenges from last year's championship bronze medalist at the Worlds, Zarnell Hughes, and Oblique Seville, who was fourth in that 100 meters final in Budapest. On a recent episode of Ready, Set, Go, former American sprinter Justin Gatlin encourages Omanyala to be ready for an amazing fan experience.
It's intense. It's like no other energy you ever felt in any kind of stadium.
Wow.
This energy surpasses any energy I've been in an Olympic stadium.
What?
Yeah, bro. It's intense.
It's that big?
Because it's the crowd has not only are they just fans of the sport, they have a passion for the sport. You see what I'm saying? Like they'll be proud of you because you gave your all, your effort, right?
Yeah.
If you didn't give your full effort, they'll be mad at you. And you're not even from that country. You know what I mean? Like they love the sport that much. They be like, man, we love him, respect to him. Like seriously, like it's love, and it's the horns are like the horns you hear out here. You ain't gonna be hearing nothing. You ain't gonna be hearing yourself. You can't even listen to your own thoughts in that Jamaican stadium.
That's Justin Gatlin, and the nationwide 90 FM will have live coverage of the meet during Sports Nation Live. Jamaica's men's national senior football team will be without the services of regular captain and goalkeeper Andre Blake for about 4 to 6 weeks. Head coach of the Philadelphia Union, Jim Curtin, says their starting goalkeeper is recovering from a meniscus surgery. Curtin described the procedure as minor. He says there were a couple of little loose flaps in the area and they cleaned it up, the meniscus that is, and they had a little minor tear. While Blake recuperates, he'll miss Jamaica's World Cup qualifiers against the Dom Rep on June 6th, that's next week Thursday, and 3 days later in Rousseau when they take on Dominica. And the Jamaica senior women's football team had their first training session at the Nautica Football Stadium. They're preparing for 2 international friendlies against Brazil. The first match is set for Recife on Saturday coming, while the second will be played in Salvador on June 4. The last time both teams met was in the group stage of the 2023 World Cup. The game ending 0-0. The result enabled Jamaica to qualify historically for the round of 16, while ensuring Brazil's exit from the tournament. And Reggae Girls forward Tiffany Cameron says they're excited to renew rivalry with the Brazilian girls.
It's really humid out here, but it's nice to be in Brazil and back with the squad. I'm really excited. We're working on some new things and we're building up momentum for the game, and I'm really looking forward to this match. It's going to be very competitive and we're ready. Some great memories from the World Cup. It was a battle from the very first minute to the last one, and I'm sure they're going to be thinking about our last matchup, and it's going to be hard, but I know we're prepared and we're ready to give it our best.
That's Tiff Cameron. The Jamaicans were welcomed and they presented with a small replica of the stadium in Recife and in Salvador, and they had a team jersey by club president Bruno Becker. Both gifts were received by Captain Alison Swaby. Bayern Munich. Well, they've appointed Vincent Kompany as their new head coach on a 3-year deal. The Belgian succeeds Thomas Tuchel and leaves Burnley for the Bundesliga after the two clubs agreed a compensation fee believed to be about £10.2 million. Kompany won the championship with Burnley in the 2022-23 season, but the Clarets suffered relegation from the English Premier League this season after finishing 19th.
It's a privilege, it's an honor, but I'm excited, so my feeling, my energy is really positive. And yeah, I'm looking forward to work with the players, with the staff, and hopefully give everything that the fans love to see about the club. I see FC Bayern as it's an institution, but what I'm looking most forward to is the simple things. Working with the players, working with the people inside the building, creating something that is described as a team. The very simple things. I don't think you have to make it more complicated than this, and after that the rest will follow.
Kompany, who retired from playing in 2020, joined Burnley from Anderlecht in Belgium in 2022 and signed a 5-year contract extension last year. He says he'll be bringing his own football philosophy to the Allianz Arena. Olympian Tonian Williams has been appointed technical director of the Jamaica Gymnastics Association. Williams created history when she became the first person to represent Jamaica in gymnastics at the Olympic Games. President of the JGA, Nicole Grant, says Williams is the perfect fit.
She's an Olympian and she's very knowledgeable about the sport. And when we were looking for a technical director, someone to really come and work with us who is able to help our coaches and help to develop the sport further, when we look at her resume and saw how many clubs and athletes she has assisted and the work that she has done, not only in gymnastics but also in anti-doping, because she's also a part of the whole anti-doping with the LA Olympics.
Williams, who assisted the Jamaica team at the recent Pan American Championships, will host their first local camp as technical director in July, and she'll be assisted by coach Mladen Stafanoff. And we close with our Olympic fact, which is sponsored by Rainforest Caribbean.
This is Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Rainforest Caribbean. Make delicious moments.
Did you know that the Olympic torch is a reminder of the game's Greek origins? Yes, that's a fact. In ancient times, a flame burned throughout the games as a tribute to the goddess Hestia. Since 1928, this tradition has continued in the modern games. But instead of an altar, the flame burns in a special torch. The torch flame is always lit by the sun in Olympia, Greece, as this is where the first Greek games was held. Then it's passed from torch to torch in a massive international relay that ends in the host city.
That was Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Rainforest Caribbean. Make delicious moments.
That's sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:20.
Nationwide 90 FM is at it again. Team Revolution will clear every hurdle and sprint to the finish line as we cover the games of the 33rd Olympiad from Paris, the city of love.
Fraser Price gets the start, and look at this, Ahuri going well, and here they're coming to close it down. Jetta's coming through, but Fraser Price on the near side, the Olympic champion defends! She defends the title! Wonderful run by Celia.
Nationwide's coverage is powered by our diamond sponsor, Pizza Hut. Now, that's delivering from all locations, island-wide.
Me grew up as my granny save her money under her mattress.
But at an all-time something, that's where I save my money in the bank. And because I want to buy a little house, I also save in a building society. We have to be smart with how we save our money.
So, what if the bank crash?
Well, that's where JDIC comes in. Make I tell you something. With the JDIC Deposit Insurance Scheme, once you save your money in a commercial bank, merchant bank, or building society, your deposit is covered up to a maximum of $1.2 million per depositor per financial institution if the institution fails. All the information that you need is available at jdic.org, and you can follow their social media platform for more information.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me. My Mega Mart, best value by far.
With so much to do in one location, make Mega Mart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills. Fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Mega Mart, the best value by far.
Raise your glass of milk and celebrate World Milk Day 2024 on May 30, 2024 at the Robert Lightburn High School, Trinityville, St. Thomas. World Milk Day is celebrated annually on June 1. But on May 30, Cliffviews Online will be present at this year's staging in Jamaica. Tune in as we celebrate the vital role dairy plays in delivering quality nutrition to nourish the world. Also join us in honoring the dairy farmers in St. Thomas, home of the largest population of dairy farmers. So don't miss Cliffviews Online at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on May 30, 2024. Catch them on the grounds of the Robert Lightburn High School in Trinityville, St. Thomas, or tune in to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Jamaica Dairy Development Board.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. It's midweek. I'm Robianne Williams. Welcome to Public Opinion, indeed. A special one to our friends on our YouTube platform. Thank you for always tuning in. We like to hear from you, so we encourage you to weigh in live in the comments section on today's Public Opinion. It's an ongoing conversation, so we're continuing as it relates to how a Jamaican president will be appointed and his or her removal from office, when the time comes. The proposal of a secret ballot by parliamentarians has been recommended in a ministry paper tabled in Parliament based on a report from the Constitutional Reform Committee, the CRC. Now, the CRC recommends that the Jamaican president be appointed by a two-stage process, starting with a nomination by the Prime Minister after consultation with the Leader of Opposition, and that is then followed by at least a two-thirds vote in a joint sitting of the Parliament, with members of Parliament and senators voting separately by secret ballot. Now, where consensus cannot be reached on the nomination by the Prime Minister and the opposition leader, both leaders nominate their preferred candidate, who must then be endorsed by a simple majority of both houses of Parliament, voting separately by secret ballot. Now, yesterday we asked if you are comfortable with a secret ballot being used to elect Jamaica's president. Well, today in Public Opinion we're asking, would you want to vote directly for Jamaica's president?
Man, hope need. Just vet them once them can contribute to the country in a positive way. By all means.
No, I do not believe in it. It is very scary, very dangerous. You don't want to get it wrong, eh?
No, not at all.
No, I don't believe that.
We don't want to get it wrong, indeed. If you're just joining us, we're inside the court of public opinion. Would you want to vote directly for Jamaica's president? That's the question we're putting to you. I'm going to start with the comments on our social media platform. On X, Graham Jervis says yes. OG says yes, indeed. Bring it on. Akeem, or that should be Akilim, says yes, I would love that. Striker 55.5 says yes, this is the type of Republican system of government I would like to see, where one can vote directly for the country's president. Ramdin says, indeed, I would want to vote directly for the president of Jamaica to have a more direct say in the country's leadership and decision making. All right, let me go to the comments on our Facebook platform, where Edney Powell is saying, yes, it's about time. All is going to happen when they are to decide what type of president they are going to turn into a political affair. So it's better we just vote for our president. All right, Edney Powell, I hear you on that one. CJ says, I would say yes, and I'm sure it would cause the number of people who vote to increase. Well, we wait and see for that one, CJ. Philip Jackson says, not necessarily. I think the Constitution Reform Committee would make that suggestion if they think that would be the best way. To me, they are bright and brilliant minds, so I would work with what the team says. And as I said before, the recommendation was made by the CRC for a secret ballot as it relates to parliamentarians casting votes in a secret ballot as it relates to Jamaica's president. Anthony Sheikh says yes, he would definitely want to vote directly for Jamaica's president. Bad English says yes, supporting direct voting for Jamaica's president could be seen as a way to strengthen democracy, promote civic engagement, and ensure that the country's leadership reflects the will of the people. While Natalie Winter is just saying no, she wouldn't want to vote directly for Jamaica's president. Over on Instagram, Alric says yes. I'm seeing yes coming from Godfrey Jr. Lake. Okino is also saying yes, we should have a choice. Called Babyface says no. And Janet Atkinson says, but of course I would want to vote directly for Jamaica's president. Yes, also coming from Shambhala. And Sansia says that system doesn't make any sense. If you don't have majority seats in Parliament, nothing is wrong with the Westminster model. All right, and Hot Off the Press is saying yes also. If you're just joining us, we're inside the court of public opinion. We're discussing again the Jamaica's president. You know, when it is time, would you want to vote directly, or would you go with the recommendation from the CRC, the Constitutional Reform Committee, that parliamentarians vote a secret ballot? They vote secretly, like what obtains now when we go to the polls for our general election. Let me see if I can get some comments on our YouTube platform. Brandon Armsby says voting directly for your president can be dangerous, a dangerous thing to do. So no, I don't suggest it. All right, let me see if I can get more on our YouTuber. Monica Stone says yes, vote for Trump. We're talking about out here, so Monica Stone. Jacqueline says no way, too much teeth. Wow, that's an allegation. That's an allegation, Jacqueline Thomas, that, you know, I don't think I can touch that one. But we welcome your comment nonetheless. Let me see if I can get in some more comments on our platform. My YouTubers don't always set me up enough for me to say certain things, you know? Always setting me up. Sharnos is questioning what will be the role of a Jamaican president. Well, let's see. I think we've heard that one before, a ceremonial one. I'm not certain. I don't want to say it and get it wrong, but we've heard it before. Kingsley Graham says Jamaica people stop vote. Only 20% have vote no. All right. Let me see. Brandon Armsby, I read that one already, saying that he doesn't suggest it because voting directly can be a dangerous thing. All right. Let me get in some more comments on this one. Who am I is questioning. Make the ballot secret. No, that's not. Secret ballot, I think we try to explain it as best as possible. It's the same thing that obtains when we go to the polls to vote and we cast our votes in that little area. You know, nobody knows. Max Romy says democracy. The people must vote for a president. Imagine. All right. I won't say the latter part of your comment, Max Romy. See with me. I do not want to say anything that will get me in a problem. But these are the comments of our viewers. It's public opinion. And Max Romy says democracy. The people must vote for a president. Indeed. Let me see if I can get in some more. Donna Llewellyn says, we're a democratic country, so let us, the people, vote for the president. No political selection, recommendation, but not the two parties selecting anyone. Okay, Leonard Seville says it's a historical experience, so yes, people should vote. Yes. Marigold Weber believes that, we should vote directly as well. Who am I? Popular vote elects the president. Wow, the one day, wow. The one, the dangerous who am I? That one that you're suggesting right there, that could possibly be a dangerous one right there. Let me see if I can get some more. Owen Odman says the president would be selected based on party lines. As such, the people should directly vote for the president. CBCB says yes, vote directly. Feline Williams says parliamentarians can vote secretly if they want, but the public should vote as well. I see, says the blind man. All right. A lot of comments coming in on this one. It will be interesting to see what happens. Sidonie Wilson is saying vote directly, no cover-up vote. Errol Murray is also agreeing to say yes, voting directly. All right. Thank you guys so much for participating. That's all the time we have. Let me read this last one. Winston Stevens says Jamaicans just love to chat and create controversy. We only have 32% of the people voting for government, but they want to vote for president. They're just wasting money and time. All right. Thank you so much for that one, Winston Stevens. Thank you guys for participating. That's all the time we have for Public Opinion. Do stay tuned for the Business Report.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. Let's get to it. Motorists can expect a decrease at the pumps in the price of gasoline effective Thursday, May 30. That is tomorrow. And that's according to the latest ex-refinery costs from Petrojam. Now, 90 octane will decrease by 52 cents per litre, while 87 octane will go down by 51 cents per litre. Automotive diesel fuel will decrease by 43 cents per litre, and ultra-low sulfur diesel will go down by 25 cents per litre. Kerosene decrease by 77 cents per litre. Meanwhile, propane liquid petroleum will see an increase of $3.06 per litre, and butane liquid petroleum will go up by $2.78 per litre. And of course, marketing companies and retailers will add their respective markup. Digicel Foundation has announced the appointment of Joy Clark as its new chair following a unanimous vote at the foundation's board meeting held on Monday. Now, this appointment comes as the foundation celebrates its 20th anniversary. In a release to the media, the foundation says Clark brings a wealth of experience and a deep commitment to its mission. Clark served the foundation in various capacities to include vice chair. Clark succeeds Jean Laurie Chin, who has served as the Digicel Foundation's chair since October 2014. And finally, in the currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost 156 Jamaican dollars and 44 cents to buy $1 US. It cost 199 Jamaican dollars and 25 cents to buy £1 British pound, and 114 Jamaican dollars and 61 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. And that's the business report. I'm Robianne Williams. Good evening.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:36.
Nationwide 90 FM is at it again. Team Revolution will clear every hurdle and sprint to the finish line as we cover the games of the 33rd Olympiad from Paris, the city of love.
Fraser Price gets the start, and look at this, Ahuri going well, and here they're coming to close it down. Jetta's coming through, but Fraser Price on the near side, the Olympic champion defends! She defends the title! Wonderful run by Shelly-Ann.
Nationwide's coverage is powered by our diamond sponsor, Pizza Hut. Now, that's delivering from all locations, island-wide.
If you're a teacher from Manila, nurse worker, college professor, a businessman from St. Ann, NCB is the bank for everyone. Enough respect, big up every Jamaican. NCB, a build a better nation. We're your bank for wealth creation. NCB are the people's bank. Time now for we own a bank. NCB are the people's bank.
NCB is the people's bank. Therefore, the people should own the bank. There's a saying, if you buy the milk, you should own the cow.
Me just love me Jamaican bank. NCB are the people's bank.
Investing involves risks. Please review the NCB FG prospectus and seek financial advice before making any investment decision. Visit goipo.jncb.com for application details.
Experience Jamaica's Olympic triumphs in Jamaica Gold, a golden spotlight.
brought to you by Horton's Pharmacy. Horton's RX Pack for better medication management.
After the 1952 Olympics, Jamaica endured a gold drought for 5 Olympic cycles. That's until Donald Quarry ended the streak at the 1976 Montreal Games, winning the men's 200 meters. Quarry made the Jamaican 100 meters team for the 1968 Summer Olympics as a 17-year-old, but he got injured in training and could not compete. In 1976, after winning the AAA's 100 and 200 meters titles, Quarry could finally compete at the Olympics without injuries. He first made the 100 meters final, which he led until overtaken by Trinidadian Hasely Crawford. In the 200 meters, Corey led the pack, coming out of the turn and held off all challenges to take the title in 20.22 seconds.
Away they go, first time, and Corey got a magnificent start in lane 2, and Corey really taking them off. And wants to land on the track, I'm not quite sure it is. And there's another one down, Hampton it looks like. No, Hampton in the centre, there's Corey. And Corey comes home in front with Hampton in second place, Evans third, and Betty in fourth. And Corey, the silver medalist in the 100, takes the 200 from Hampton, and in third place was Evans with Betty in fourth.
You just experienced a Jamaican Olympic triumph in Jamaica Gold, a golden spotlight.
Brought to you by Horton's Pharmacy. Horton's RX Pack for better medication management.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Taboo topics, bulletins after dark,
riveting discussions,
celebrity news and interviews,
topics that are shunned by society,
and everything else in between.
Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m.
Boyatings After Dark.
No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored.
Boyatings After Dark.
Raise your glass of milk and celebrate World Milk Day 2024 on May 30, 2024 at the Robert Lightburn High School, Trinityville, St. Thomas. World Milk Day is celebrated annually on June 1. But on May 30, Cliffviews Online will be present at this year's staging in Jamaica. Tune in as we celebrate the vital role dairy plays in delivering quality nutrition to nourish the world. Also join us in honoring the dairy farmers in St. Thomas, home of the largest population of dairy farmers. So don't miss Cliffviews Online at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on May 30, 2024. Catch them on the grounds of the Robert Lightburn High School in Trinityville, St. Thomas, or tune in to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Jamaica Dairy Development Board.
Chewy flavor with delight. It really, really nice. May I say it twice?
The time by Jamaica Mountain Peak Golden Turmeric Latte is
6:42. Good evening, it's 6:42 and it's time for the nation's business. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And I'm Cliff Hughes.
Well, we turn now to water. The Prime Minister has announced a $25 billion project which is designed to provide relief to sections of Western Jamaica which are facing chronic water supply challenges. The project is dubbed the Western Jamaica Water Resilience Program. It will see the upgrade, installation and replacement of major pipelines in Western Jamaica.
The pipelines will be installed from the Martha Bray Water Treatment Plant in Trelawney to Terminal Reservoir in St. James, also from the Great River Water Treatment Plant in St. James to Negril in Westmoreland.
The pre-engineering phase of this project has commenced at a cost of 32 million Jamaican dollars. This will last 6 weeks. During that period, the National Water Commission, in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance, will complete the necessary technical and administrative work to facilitate the deployment of US $160 million, that is Jamaican $24.8 billion, for the installation and replacement of these pipelines, Madam Speaker.
Prime Minister Holness says his government understands the problems and is moving to respond to a situation that has affected the quality of life of the people of Western Jamaica.
Your government understands the impact on all stakeholders, residents, children, schools, businesses, hotels in the region, and indeed all stakeholders. Farmers have also borne a heavy burden across all Western parishes, but in particular in southern St. Elizabeth, the government continues to put drought mitigation measures in place to reduce the impact.
That's Prime Minister Andrew Holness. He was speaking in the House of Representatives on Tuesday. Well, joining us this evening to discuss further is Parish Manager for Hanover for the Jamaica Agricultural Society, Camille Scott, and President of the Negril Chamber of Commerce, Elaine Bradley. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes. Camille Scott, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening.
Good. Let me begin with you, Camille. Your reaction as parish manager of the Hanover branch of the JAS to what you heard from the Prime Minister yesterday.
Well, what he has said is really, it sounds really positive, especially for the Hanoverians, not just the farmers, but for, the all stakeholders in the parish, because we have never seen this water crisis so severe here in Hanover. Mm-hmm. So if this project is fruitful and it comes through, then it would really make a difference in mitigating against this severe condition that we're having here.
And talk to us about the problems you're having with the supply of water in Hanover.
All right. Well, the farmers, as you know, the JAS, we are a lobbying organization for the farmers. And so many of their concerns would have come to us over the past few months. I don't think we've ever seen such long dry spells before. And so it has drastically affected production. For example, those who depend on, say, vegetable crop production like your pak choy and cabbage and so forth, and those crops require a lot of water, you'll find that at this time of the year you do not get a lot of that, those vegetables, because there's no water. I remember speaking to a farmer. I wanted some produce to carry to an agricultural show, neighboring parish, and he had yam. But he said to me, Miss Scott, I'm unable to dig the yam because the soil, the earth is so hard. Yes. And even I was at another meeting, and the other persons were sharing their experience with water. People cannot cook because it's not that they don't have food in their house, but they don't have water to go on the fire to cook the food. And I find that really, really, yes,
bad.
Serious. Yes. Wow. So it is a problem. It is a real big problem.
Mm-hmm. And is it that the challenges with water supply are getting worse over the years, or it's what?
It's getting worse because, the two major treatment plants here in Hanover, the Great River treatment plant and the one in Logwood. Mm-hmm. And, it's stretched. They are stretched. They have added so many communities on the line. Mm-hmm. And these communities are in hilly areas, and the pressure is not reaching them. They're not getting the water. They're paying for the service, but there's no water in the pipes. When the report comes out about the percentage of downtime on these pumps, I mean, it's unbelievable. 35%, 50% operational for a parish. You can't have those where we're highly dependent on water. Water is the staff of life. So it's really getting worse. And then when you look on the roads, you see water running, broken mains, and yet the same water is not going into the household. So, you have to wonder what's happening.
Mm-hmm. And Elaine Bradley over there in the grill, I'm assuming this news of the $25 billion project is welcome news.
Boy, it is welcome news, or I should say, man, it is real welcome news.
The thing is, though, we have heard a lot of these things spoken about, but coming to fruition, as Ms. Scott says, coming to fruition is another thing. The Prime Minister, I'm telling you, I know he's working and he cannot be everywhere, but having designated these funds to help the people, especially in Westmoreland, I know it's all over, but Westmoreland people have really been hit hard, especially Western Westmoreland and West End Negril in particular. West End of Negril, unless you're in it, you cannot know what it's like.
Mm-hmm.
When people are going in hotels to work and they cannot have water to even wash their clothes or their bodies, to go to the hotels to service people, it's not a nice fit. And the kids going to school, one woman actually said she catch one bucket of water, and it has to do for her cooking, it has to do for their washing, and it has also to do for their kids to go to school. And what they have to do is literally just wet a flannel or a rag, as they call it, and just wipe up their armpits. That's how bad it's gone. We've had droughts before all over, and we've had it bad in the West End, but never this bad. Now, among the citizens, especially of the West End, they are blaming a lot of it on the Princess Hotel, sucking all the water that people should have. And that should not be allowed. A hotel is being built. Yes, they need water. They're going to need people to work. So you have to look after the people who are going to service these hotels. And so what the Prime Minister has said, it's welcomed. And we are all happy and ecstatic. But we will not jump for joy until, as Ms. Scott said, it comes to fruition. Because we've heard all these talks. We've seen it written down. And if you look back, all this has been on the cards for years. But this Western Hanover and Westmoreland has totally been neglected all the years.
But certainly, Ms. Bradley, the fact that, according to the Prime Minister, it's already in train and they're using emergency procurement to expedite matters, does that give you a little bit more comfort?
Yes, it gives all of it gives us comfort. But because we've heard all this before, and we've seen it on paper, and we've heard it, but we've never seen it in action, literally coming to fruition. And that's what we want. We want to see the action. Speaking about leaks, Jamaica is a land of wood and water. It's just that the people, some of the people, I wouldn't say all, that are working for these agencies, they are inefficient. And they are not doing the job that they are, efficiently and effectively, that they are being paid to do. And it's of the impression, I'm not saying that some of the people that work for some of these agencies are there just to put roadblocks. You need to service the people. Our people are our greatest asset. And if we don't look after the assets, we are going to lose it. And in my community, which is West End Negril, our people are disgruntled. I don't know if you've heard of the song that Sam Cooke sang about change will come. A change has to come. And I can see it coming. I have lived in hope that this government and all the promises will come to fruition. But it's when.
Let me ask you this, Miss Elaine, before I go back to Miss Scott in Hanover. You keep saying it's particularly bad in the west end of Negril. What about the east?
I think we're feeling it bad everywhere. But I can only identify where I live and work and talking to the people and traversing the roads and hearing the people. I can only speak for them, but I think it's everywhere. But I can speak to the ills of the people I am seeing, I am talking to, and I'm witnessing how they are suffering. And I can only feel it for them.
The Princess Hotel, yes, that is now being built, or is it completed, opened, what?
No, they have done, I'm at the meeting now. I had to leave the meeting. They are doing the second phase. So this is the impact assessment of the second phase. So I'm in that meeting, but I have to come out to speak on this. They have almost finished the first phase. And so it's among all the community that we've had all this bad drought and everything, but never this bad until the princess is coming on. They've been building night and day. You need water to build. For construction, you need water. So why should the people suffer while a building is going up?
How many rooms have they built so far in phase one?
I think it's 1,000 or maybe just over 1,000 because it's 2,100 and something approximately.
Wow.
So I am not sure, but I think 1,000 is ready to open.
And
soon,
where exactly
and
is the princess located?
Well, I don't know if you know where the Green Island School is. The Green Island.
Yes.
Well, it's right in front of Green Island School. And going back to the school is run down. I'm sorry. The school is run down and dilapidated. If I am going into construction with a huge multi-million-dollar agency, they would have to build me 2 classrooms before I give them permission to do anything. And that's how you invest in your community and your people.
And just for the Kingstonians like Chevron who don't have a clue as to where you're talking,
I'm Clarendonian.
Where is Princess? Is it in Hanover or Westmoreland?
It's in Hanover.
Yes.
It's in Hanover, and it's just, don't forget, that Negril straddles
both
Hanover and Westmoreland.
Yes, yes.
So all Green Island is a part of our destination. So we have to encompass that as well.
Miss Scott,
so
just a moment, Miss Elaine. Miss Scott?
Yes.
Yeah? Is that the view on the ground as well where you are in Hanover, that the princess may be sucking, to use Miss Bradley's word, the water there?
Well, I've heard instances where persons are complaining that with the building of the hotel, it's really taking a lot of resources, and water is one of them. But I'm saying, it shouldn't be, because there are so many rivers here in Hanover. We are so blessed with a lot of rivers and springs, and we welcome development. Nothing is wrong with development, but the structure, the infrastructure needs to be sorted properly.
The carrying capacity of the area, water, the roads, the housing.
Exactly.
Yes.
So the hotel shouldn't be really blamed for taking all the water. That means there's a breakdown in the system. Or is it that we have relied so heavily, or we haven't transformed in? We're still using the old system and not recognizing that the population is growing, things are changing. So, these resources or these infrastructures need to be developed as well. They need to be updated.
Ms. Bradley, when it comes to the Princess Hotel, you seem to have been keeping track of the project. Was the water resource impact assessment not done? Did they not give a assessment essentially of how much water they'll be needing in the building phase as well as upon completion?
I think it was done, because I was at the first impact assessment management before they started construction. And our now MP, Moreland Wilson, did bring up about the water and where is it going to be coming from. And we were assured in that meeting that there was adequate water and it would not affect. Maybe it's because the drought has been so dramatic, that's why, and with climate change impacting everything. But I am not sure if they had assessed it properly, because you have to give into saying you have to do mitigation purposes and say, well, is it going to affect the community? You see, as Ms. Scott said, no upgrading of infrastructure has gone in, and we are growing. And now the Prime Minister has started with making sure that some infrastructure is going, because we have more hotels that will be coming on stream soon.
I have a response here from a senior member of the cabinet. I can't say who, but they say that it should not be possible for the hotel to impact the water problems, and they've also been using what he calls a reverse osmosis plant to supply the hotel when open. So he's suggesting that that is not a significant contributor to the water woes in the area.
So if there is reverse osmosis, you need water to start that in the first place.
Yeah, but that's upon completion of the project, so it's not in utilization currently.
Yes. But we are now talking about the now, and it's the impact it's having now because of the construction going on. With construction, you need water. And it's the now we are talking about. And the effect
I'm being told that the inflows, the inflows are well
below.
Is below. He's essentially said it's a climatic disaster, that inflows are well below 50%, and that it's not the hotel that is the issue, it's just a significant drought problem.
Yes, and the people realize that there is significant, and we've always had it, especially in Negril. We've always had it, and we've always had like a regular, you have it today, the water in the pipes today, then you will get it to another area, get it tomorrow. It's been sort of rations. And people accept that because they can fill up when they know. Now, there are several leaks all over the place because the pipes are old. And as we said, no infrastructure has been upgraded. And now the Prime Minister has put, thank God for that, and we are grateful that the infrastructure, and that is with water, that's going to go in. So once the pipes go in, and then the roads, you need to come to Negril to see what Negril looks like right now. And the main roads, especially going to Ricks. Right now, Negril, and that's my word that I've always said.
How does it look now?
A dump.
What?
A dump.
Oh.
Dump? I have a kin, Negril.
When you say a dump, Miss Elaine Bradley, come on, describe that for me.
I'm sorry. You need to visit Negril. Go to the West End. We're getting improvement, we're getting improvement now.
Yeah, but then we come visit when we can't be it.
Exactly. But I have catchment, so I can get you water today. I can give you some water, don't worry. And we have had from yesterday, we have had the most beautiful, and we had it today, shower of rain.
Oh.
I tell you, I felt like going out and dancing. I tell you, it was a beauty to my ears. It was a sight for sore eyes. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
And we had it today again.
Oh.
It's still hot though. But I have always lived in hope, especially with this government, that we are going to have improvement and infrastructure. I am one that never, ever give up. And I like to fight to the death. And I know better will come and better must come.
Well, Ms. Bradley, I'll further update, and this is from Minister Matthew Samudo. They're currently laying 1.2 kilometers of pipe replacement, which will start on Monday. Once those pipes are laid, they will properly pave the road, and your situation should be alleviated somewhat. That's the assurance being provided by the minister himself.
That is music to my ears. We just want to see it happening. And I'll tell you for why I want to see it. Last week on, I think it's Wednesday, we had the NWA came and gave a presentation that roadworks will start at the breakaway of the, I know there's a lot of things, there's a lot of the process. They've gone through all the process, but the building now there's also a process. And so they came and gave a presentation, and the work should have started 27th. I had to reiterate when I saw it written down, I said 27th of this month or next month or next year.
Well, they said Monday.
There.
Monday.
They said Monday the 27th. No, I'm talking about the NWA. gave a presentation for the breakaway of the wall that's 4 years incoming, and at the West End by the Sunshine Village. And we've heard that it's coming. They gave a presentation last Wednesday at the Destination Assurance that it will start on Monday the 27th. We have seen nothing, not even equipment has dropped. So in Negril, we have heard all these things that are on the books, are on the cards. But as I said before, we've never seen anything come to fruition.
Yes.
But I live in hope, and I hope.
And I hope you will not die in Constant Spring.
So the minister is definitely keeping track of this conversation, and he says once the NWC's work is finished, the NWA will start their work.
Absolutely.
So it's clearly a process.
We hope so. And I know there's a process, but we cannot wait long enough to see something happening. The people need to see action, not hear about it. They just need to see it.
Well. All right, ladies.
And we know it's coming. We know it's coming.
Yes.
I have all faith in my government right now. Everything that they say is going to happen will happen, but when?
All right. Miss Scott, you have the final word on behalf of Hanoverians?
Well, as I said, the farmers are really being affected, and, without food, we need food to survive, and if they don't get the water, then we'll have to pay this expensive food bill. So we really need the water, and there's a lot of, it's just for them to look at the infrastructures. And climate change is real, so even with these new developments, they have to factor that into being, think of strategies beforehand to mitigate against this crisis, because it's going to happen again. We don't know when these aquifers will come up. They have to keep up with all. We have these bodies, the forecast and all of that. Utilize the data that we have to make these decisions, and don't react when something happens. Be proactive.
Yes.
So, that's what we need to do, and utilize the resources. We have the resources here. We do have it. We have a lot of rivers. We have a lot of springs. Some are underutilized. The rivers need dredging. Bamboos and silt sediments built up in the rivers, so the capacity of the river to flow is being affected. Use up these things, dredge the rivers. Apart from giving out these black tanks, look for other means. You have some areas in Hanover, quite clay, dig ponds, integrate the farms so you have water as well as improving the livelihood of people at the same time. So, it can work. It can work if they just think about it properly and put it into being. That's it. Exactly.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies. Yes.
Thank you so much for having us on.
You're welcome. And Miss Bradley,
Yes, sir.
When you can assure me get a shower.
You will definitely get a shower. You ask anybody, especially this evening, if I make a promise, and I have got catchment. So as long as it rains, you will have a shower. And just one more thing. I think every new construction should be made to be built with catchment.
Yes. Yes.
I think that will be a good thing forward.
Yes.
As Ms. Scott said,
this climate crisis is not going away.
And it's not going away. It's becoming more forceful.
Yes.
And the more we are destroying the trees, I mean, right now I'm talking the amount of mangrove that Princess is removing. That's even more dangerous.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
So, yeah.
Elaine Bradley is the president of the Negril Chamber of Commerce, and Camille Scott, the parish manager of the Hanover branch of the Jamaica Agricultural Society. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you, sir. Have a good evening and be safe.
You're welcome.
And promise the shower.
All right.
Thank you.
Good. After the break, the latest out of London tonight, the veteran Labour MP of Jamaican descent, Dan Abbott, has come out swinging that she will be the candidate. Yes, she will stand as a candidate for the Labour Party in the July 4 elections, despite the party saying no. That's after stockbroker. Think like a stockbroker.
The mission of the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs includes revising Jamaica's legal and constitutional infrastructure and accelerating the pace of reform. The time by the MLCA is
7:08.
Accelerate your career with the right ally. Mona School of Business and Management. Explore our suite of highly ranked, specialized, globally competitive graduate degrees, including our internationally accredited MBA program. At MSBM, we nurture critical thinkers and innovative leaders, placing our graduates in a league of their own. Join the community of trailblazers making an impact at home and abroad. Apply online today. Global knowledge, regional solutions.
Say goodbye to stuffy air and hello to clean air. Call the air conditioning experts, Geddes Refrigeration Limited, for all your indoor air quality needs. Their duct cleaning services will leave your home or office feeling fresh and healthy. Call them at 876-923-652123 or email grljasocialmedia@gmail.com. Located at 226 Spanish Town Road, Kingston 11. Breathe easy with Geddes Refrigeration Limited. Breathe easy with Geddes Refrigeration Limited.
Some see the glass half empty, others see the glass half full. You check if there's water in the tap, because smart investors think ahead. This is Sagicor Investments. Think like a stockbroker, giving you a clearer perspective on the investment markets.
Welcome back, listeners, viewers, for another exciting episode of Sagicor Investments Think Like a Stockbroker, where we give you the information you need to navigate the market. Again, with me is Assistant Vice President for Research and Strategy at Sagicor Investments, Jody and Aris. How are you, Jody?
I am doing well. How are you doing?
Doing quite good. Are you ready for another exciting episode?
Yes. Let's get into it.
Okay, before we get into it, though, we have to do our recap as usual. Last week, we talked about adverse weather effects and how that impacts the market. Just give us a rundown again.
Sure. So let's talk about how it impacts probably your portfolio. So one of the things we looked at is that adverse weather conditions could have either a positive or negative impact on your portfolio. So it doesn't necessarily always lead to, a fall happening for your portfolio. So one of the things that we want to do as investors in our assessments when we're looking at our portfolio is if this stock that we're holding could likely be impacted by adverse weather events, and if we think this is going to be something that is going to be a sustained impact. And if so, we may have to start taking measures to reduce our exposure to that sort of security if it is that we think this is going to prolong and be negative for that particular company. On the other side, if it is something positive, we also want to think, if there are positive things that we may want to increase exposure to in our portfolio, or if there are positive ways that a company could be impacted by an adverse weather event that we may want to consider adding that security to our portfolio. But as usual, we don't want to just go ahead and add or take away from our portfolio without having that sort of fulsome discussion with your Sagicor Investments wealth advisor.
So that's interesting, Jody, and considering that we are in a very active hurricane area and we're heading into the hurricane season, how does something like that impact stockbrokering?
So it definitely does have an impact, and I think one of the main ones that you probably jump outside of the damages that could affect a company. So if it is that you are in the space that has an active hurricane season, and if there is something that goes wrong and there's damage, you could lose goods, you could lose products, and they'd have to refit. So what you'll be seeing is definitely based on the magnitude of the hurricane and how soon it is persons can return to work, is that the longer that time span is that you'd probably see reduced revenues because you won't be able to produce as much as you could if there were no hurricane. So it definitely does have an impact on the companies. It would have some sort of economic cost for the government, and if government is diverting funds towards recovery from hurricane, then that's less funds that they'd have to assist in other areas, and that would have an impact in terms of sometimes for the disposable income for persons. Will they be able to buy products and services? But on the flip side, as we had talked about last week, if it is that you're like a company in Resinco and you're doing water production, then there is a period of time when you'll be without water, so you could probably have increased demand coming out of that.
Adversity doesn't only stem from acts of God. We're in a period of time, unfortunately, where there's quite a bit of geopolitical tensions almost in every corner of the map. How do things like that affect the stock brokerage?
So it does have an impact, and if it is that we look at most recently where there was the Ukraine-Russia conflict, And stemming right out of that, we'd have started to see where companies mention that they're facing higher costs. So grains would have been a cost that region would have produced that we weren't able to get as much off, as well as energy. When you looked at how it is that Russia would have supplied Europe with quite a bit of their low-cost energy using the gas pipelines, and then that would have reduced because of the issues that they were having in that space, and that would have led to an increase in energy costs. So there are quite a few impacts that stems out of these geopolitical issues, and sometimes we may think that, because we are in Jamaica and we may not necessarily be at risk for invasion or invading somebody, that it doesn't affect us as much. But when it is that you expand your scope and think about geopolitical issues outside of the physical invasion, then you can see where you could be impacted. So one of those that we're looking at now is cybersecurity or cyber attacks. Could be something that now falls within the realm of geopolitical issues, because persons are now using this and they're becoming a little bit more relentless to attack from a remote space companies and businesses that they may be having issues with. Climate change, and I've been talking about adverse weather effects, is also one that can be seen as a geopolitical risk, because what experts are recommending is that we need to, as a globe, come together and have a collaborative effort to tackle climate change, right? So if it is that I am a country that is not necessarily feeling the full impact of climate change, but I am doing in my production process having an impact on climate change, then those who are feeling it need me to reduce some of my bad habits in order to positively impact them. And so that is one of the things that will also feed into some of the geopolitical tensions that we could see going forward, which is outside of the usual, physical invasion with a war. And also when we think of US and China, they are having trade conflicts, and we saw where that had direct impact on the market in 2018 into 2019, where they were just going back and forth with the tariff impositions, right? Yes. So we do see where these things have impact, not just to the people, but definitely on the market. And one of the things we also want to look at for stockbrokers is that we tend to be forward thinking. So we want to see how is it that these things will impact policy? How is it that governments are going to change policy in order to protect themselves from these sorts of geopolitical issues that could arise? And those policies, while they are there to protect the country, will naturally have some impact on the companies that, as investors, are equity investors that we're choosing to invest in. So it trickles down to company, and then we are buying into companies, and that allows for some impact on our portfolio.
Interesting. Considering that one of our largest trading partners, the United Kingdom, is heading into a general election, Rishi Sunak has called for July 4th to go to the polls. How does that, in terms of, I don't want to call that geopolitical tension, but it's definitely a geopolitical change, how does that impact us?
Right. So elections are something that as stockbrokers we watch, right? Because what it means is that there could be a shift in policy. And I feel like we're talking a lot about how policy impacts our decisions as stockbrokers or as investors. What it could mean is that there could be a change in policy. So what you want to look at, particularly when our country declares an election or an election is upcoming, is the discussions and the debates, as well as the poll numbers. And the discussions allow us to see each party's view or each candidate's view, or what it is that they'd like to change, what it is that they intend to do. And then the polls will give us a feel as to where it is the consensus of the population is leading towards. And if it is that there is a distinct difference in terms of policy, then you're looking at where the polls are pushing which candidate, then you would want to then fashion your portfolio such that it benefits from those policies. In the case where there isn't much difference between the policies of either candidate or either party, then that tends to have less of an impact on markets. So I think in the case of Britain, even though they are in the UK, even though it was a surprise election, we didn't see any reaction coming from market right away following that. And I think part of that would have been stemming from the fact that there isn't much of a distinct or market difference between the policies that they'll be affecting. But that could change And if that changed, that's something as a stockbroker that you want to definitely watch.
Interesting. And certainly similar assessments are done here, considering that we are most likely heading into a general election not too far in the distance.
Yes, so it's something that we generally would watch as stockbrokers, and what you want to focus on is the policies that each candidate is going to bring and how those policies would have an impact on the markets and how they'd have an impact on companies that you are likely to invest in or you have already invested in.
So let's bring it back locally now. I understand that there are some adjustments being made over the Jamaica Stock Exchange in terms of the settlement cycle and the trading hours. First, give us a definition of those terms and what does that mean for stock brokerage?
Okay, so starting off with the definition. So the settlement cycle is the difference between when it is that your trade goes through and you actually, if it is that you have decided to sell a security, how long it takes for you as the investor to get the cash from that sale, or how long it is if it is that you're buying a security, how long before that is actually reflected in your account. So typically it would be trades are settled in a T+2. So it is whatever date the trade takes place, there are 2 days later that you would allow either to see the cash in your bank account or to see the stock in your portfolio. So we are reducing, well, the Jamaica Stock Exchange is actually reducing that now from T+2 to T+1. So it means that after a trade is done, there is a 1 day wait in order to see whether your cash from the proceeds of a sale or the security in your portfolio from having done a purchase. So that makes it a shorter window. And this is in line with international markets. So the US as well as Canada, similar to us here in Jamaica, would have done this change this week in terms of a settlement timeline. From the perspective of the Jamaica Stock Exchange, for them it is kind of in some ways reducing their sort of a risk, because the longer they take to do the trade, if anything happens between T+2 timeline, they are responsible. So it's reducing their risk from that standpoint. They're also affecting an extension in the time frame that's allowed for trading. So typically the markets would open at around 9:30 for official trading. There's normally a pre-open period before, and then the trading would end at 1 p.m. So they're now extending that to 2 p.m. So that would allow for more liquidity in the markets, hopefully. So if you have a longer time to trade, we're hoping or expecting that persons will, take this to do a little bit more trading. So for example, you go for lunch at 12, you come back at 1. By that time, the market would be closed. You may have seen, a particular market price move, and you would have wanted to take opportunity, have an extra hour post-lunch that you could do some additional trading within that time. Further, there is also an allowance for this within the stock exchange that prevents any one stock from trading in too far of a band. So it's what they call a circuit breaker. So no stock is allowed to trade upwards of a certain limit or downwards of a certain limit. And once it hits that limit, there's what the stock comes to a halt. And so what this extension allows for is just a little bit more trading time post the halt, because when a stock is halted, it has to halt for a period of time. So you think about it, if a stock should halt, in the middle of the day, right? Then there isn't that much time after you have that break period for trading to occur after. And so this extension will give a little bit more time in that regard. So it's really, I'd say, positive moves coming from the stock exchange that are aided to benefit investors, as well as, it helps on an operational side as well for the stock exchange.
Speaking of the Jamaica Stock Exchange, Jodian, it's customary for us to leave the listeners and viewers with a stock pick for the week. So what do you have for us?
Okay, so this week we'll be looking at Separate Limited. Separate operates in food manufacturing as well as distribution, and coming out of Q1 for January to March 2024, they would have reported higher revenue. And one of the things that they pointed to in terms of the performance for revenue is that it was driven by higher exports. So export sales actually went up about 27%. And they also pointed to some positives in terms of where it is that they are with the demand for beverages. So beverages, both also inclusive of dairy beverages. They would have noted that the capacity that they have internally to make this, to meet demand, is actually not sufficient. So the demand for beverages is actually exceeding their capacity. So they're now looking to say how is it that they can expand capacity in order by hopefully the end of this year to be able to meet that demand that is there for beverages. So that is a good problem, I guess it is to have in terms of a business. Because it means that, we're not really full in the market and there's
shows
space
room
for
for growth, yes.
Right. And another thing we'd have noticed is that their gross profit also went up, and similarly the gross profit margin went up. And when you're looking at these big companies, you want to look at the margins as well, because it shows to their efficiency. So even though they may be growing and increasing in terms of their revenues, are they just not playing focus as well as to how fast the cost is increasing as well, and how is that impacting their efficiency? So they're actually recording an improvement in terms of their gross profit margin. And when you look at the numbers, it may seem a small movement. So it may move from 25.5% to 26%, and you may say, oh, that's small, but we're talking about big numbers. And in big companies, a movement of a 1% difference in margins is really big. And so we'd want to, highlight that they did that, and that points, well for us or for persons who are invested in separate. However, though, they actually reported lower net profit, which is the bottom line. And that's another thing that we want to look at as investors. And what they cited is actually that one of the things that impacted them negatively in terms of their bottom line performance is that there were some additional costs that they had to face throughout the quarter that negatively impacted their bottom line performance, which is the net profit. And they pointed to the fact that adverse weather events, which is droughts, actually had an impact in dairy production for them, and it led to higher costs because of that adverse weather event. So it's just really to tie back in to show that there is impact that directly face company at times because of these adverse weather events. In terms of other costs that would have increased, they also spoke to higher interest costs, higher costs for insurance, higher costs for transportation that would have also had an impact in terms of their bottom line. One of the things they pointed out that you'd want to look for in terms of future is that they actually had to, for a period of time, close down their margarine plant to do some changes or expansions there. And that would have resulted in them losing a bit of market share. So what you could see is that they'll be probably pushing to see how it is that they can regain that market share that they lost, and that could then in a short term, lead to a boost in terms of revenues that would support growth, as a return to the usual level in that space. So we want to look at not just the top line and the good things that are happening there, but also the costs in terms of what's happening for the bottom line. I recommend that you reach out to a Sagicor Investments wealth advisor, because the research team at Sagicor Investments has prepared a fulsome review of Seprod Limited that you may be able to view through your advisor, as well as if there's anything that I would have said today that would have piqued your interest that you want to have further discussions on, you may also reach out to a Sagicor Investments wealth advisor to do so.
Once again, thank you, Jodianne, and thank you, listeners and viewers, for tuning in to another episode of Sagicor Investments Think Like a Stockbroker. Join us again next week, same time.
That was Sagicor Investments Think Like a Stockbroker. Smart investors think ahead. Join us on Nationwide 90 FM, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for Sagicor Investments Think Like a Stockbroker. When you build wealth with Sagicor Investments, you never have to settle for less than your dreams. Call 888-SAGICOR to speak with a wealth advisor so Sagicor Investments can help you create, grow, and preserve your wealth.
With so much to do in one location, make Megamart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills, fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far.
My Megamart, best value by far.
1
takes place at the Racers Grand Prix Saturday, June 1 at the National Stadium. World champion Noah Lyles, British record holder Zarnel Hughes, Africa's fastest man Ferdinand Amanyala, and Jamaica's favorite Oblique Seville battling the 100 meters. World champion Antonio Watson takes on champion Allison. Olympic champion Hansel Parchment graces the track in his pet event. St. Lucian hotshot Julian Alfred goes up against the young Jamaican Joel Alana Reid. Devin Charlton takes on Akira Nugent. Tickets available at racersgrandprix.com, mysticonlinetix.com, and the Jamaica Pegasus starting May 24. Finish line $5,000, regular grandstand $3,000, bleachers $500. Don't miss a great night experiencing Jamaica's track and field, passion and entertainment.
The Watchman, exploring issues shaping our society, government and business. Provocative, unconventional, Dr. Henley Morgan is The Watchman.
Good evening. School violence. What does leadership have to do with it? Jamaica is experiencing a torrent of school violence, which threatens to dash the ship of state against the rocks of indecision. It's not a new or recent phenomenon. Almost a decade ago, a study revealed that 8 in 10 Jamaican students had witnessed violence in their schools, and 3 in 10 had themselves used violence. We're not alone in being overwhelmed by school violence. Our neighbor to the north, America, despite the huge resources available for fighting the scourge, is on its knees, whether in an act of surrender or praying for divine intervention. During a single school year, approximately half of public, middle, and high schools reported at least one incident of physical attacks, fights, theft, larceny, or vandalism. Given the size of America's school system, that amounts to about 1.4 million incidents, which translates to a rate of 29 incidents per 1,000 students. A few days ago, the Interministerial School Support Retreat on Multi-Agency Response to Violence in Schools was held at the Iberostar Hotel in St. James. Minister of National Security, Dr. Horace Chang, who was in attendance, took time out to address the press. What he had to say may not have been politically correct, but is nevertheless food for thought. I quote in part from a report in the May 18, 2024 Observer newspaper. As we go forward, especially in the very difficult schools, we have to look carefully at the leadership, which is crucial to overcoming the challenge. End of quote. In America, there are an estimated 200 different institutional interventions in response to rampant school violence. These include policies designed to create a safe school climate, instruction-based programs designed to address the precursors of violence, including bullying, profiling of potentially violent students, counseling at-risk students, conflict mediation and resolution, physical surveillance, and security officers to deter students from carrying weapons. The more effective interventions are joined-up efforts involving the entire student body, staff, parents, and even the community. Leadership plays a key role in determining the culture or ethos within schools, regardless of the crime and violence that may be happening on the outside. I close by directly addressing those in leadership mentioned by Dr. Chang in his statement to the press. Chairmen, principals, guidance counselors, school resource officers, take back control of your schools. Think on these things.
Produced by Agency for Inner City Renewal, AIR, and recorded in the Jamming Studio Trenchtown, a breath of fresh air bringing change to the inner city.
Raise your glass of milk and celebrate World Milk Day 2024 on May 30, 2024 at the Robert Lightburn High School, Trinityville, St. Thomas. World Milk Day is celebrated annually on June 1. But on May 30, Cliffviews Online will be present at this year's staging in Jamaica. Tune in as we celebrate the vital role dairy plays in delivering quality nutrition to nourish the world. Also join us in honoring the dairy farmers in St. Thomas, home of the largest population of dairy farmers. So don't miss Cliffviews Online at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on May 30, 2024. Catch them on the grounds of the Robert Lightburn High School in Trinityville, St. Thomas, or tune in to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Jamaica Dairy Development Board.
Good evening once again. 25 minutes going up to 8 o'clock. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Well, we started reporting on what was emerging in the United Kingdom yesterday with Britain's first black woman member of Parliament, Diane Abbott, of Jamaican parentage. Well, it's emerged this evening that she is planning to stand in her Hackney Northern constituency in London North in the July 4 general election by any means possible. The Labour MP was reinstated to the Labour whip, to the Labour Party on Tuesday after being suspended in April last year.
This after she stated that Jewish, Irish, and traveller people do not face racism all their lives. Her suspension meant she would not be able to stand for the Labour Party in July. Abbott later apologized and withdrew her remarks after they were published in a letter to the UK's Observer newspaper.
Diane Abbott was born in England to Jamaican parents in 1953. She made history as the first black woman to win a seat in the British House of Commons in 1987. That's 37 years ago. She has represented the constituency of Hackney North and Stoke Newington since then, an area dominated by Caribbean and African immigrants.
Speaking early on Wednesday, Ms. Abbott says the Labour Party did not tell her that she would be banned from representing them in July for elections. Here is more from Sky News.
I was shocked to learn yesterday that I am going to be banned from running for the Labour Party. Shame! I have been selected by my local party members, many of whom are here today, but the National Party is insisting that I be banned. They haven't communicated with me personally. They haven't given a reason for banning me. They just want me excluded from Parliament. Shame! So, I am so shocked and so alarmed about what is going on because it is as if you are not allowed to be a Labour MP unless you're prepared to repeat everything the leader says. So what happened? What happened to political independence? What happened to representing your community? Right. It seems if you want to be independent, if you want to speak up for people, if you want to represent your local community, you will find yourself banned. With no due process, with no conversation, without even explaining to you why you are banned. So let me say to all of you this evening, I have campaigned over 40 years for the Labour Party. I have also campaigned for 40 years for equalities. That's right. I've spoken up on race, I've spoken up on gender, I've spoken up on gay rights. And it is as if the party leadership is throwing all that in my face. Well, I am here to say that I will continue to speak up. I will continue to struggle, and by any means possible, I will be the candidate for Hackney North and
Dan Abbott there taking a stand and defying Sir Keir Starmer's Labour Party. And it's being reported in England this evening that the Labour Party leader is coming under mounting pressure. And the argument is essentially is that, listen, Diana Abbott was the first black woman elected to the British House of Commons back in 1987. She has been guilty of far-left extremist politics and some very controversial statements over the years. But the fact is she has been a very good MP for the people of Hackney North and Stoke Newington, and she should not be treated this way. Not be treated this way. And even members of the right, the centre of the Labour Party, are coming to her defence, saying to the leader, Sir Keir Starmer, no, this is not the way to do it.
And one has to wonder what is going through Mr. Starmer's head and the top executives of the party when they make decisions like this. Have they weighed the potential backlash versus the potential embarrassment that she could pose to them on the national stage going into an election, and said, well, is it worth it keeping her?
But keeping her, I can't see the damage done to the Labour Party. Yes, because she's not going to go to the cabinet. She's not a part of your front bench. Yes, her ministerial career never started before it ended. Yeah, so she's not a threat in that regard. She represents a seat with a majority of 33,188. Just think about that. It's a very safe Labour seat. And if she's to stand in that seat now and run as an independent candidate, she may very well win. Yes, because she's been such a strong member of Parliament over these 37 years. Yeah. Politics.
Or maybe Mr. Starmer didn't feel the backlash would have been so heavy.
I think he may have underestimated that. Yeah, because he has turned around the Labour Party into such a viable election machine now. Yeah, they are on the cusp of power.
I don't know if he's turned it around or more that the Conservative Party has essentially collapsed.
Well, that too. They have helped him a lot. After 14 years of Conservative rule, the people of the United Kingdom are, based on the opinion polls, over the Tories. They're going to send them into opposition.
And that's something I find quite impressive. Looking back at British history, they have had long periods under either the Conservative or Labour governments lasting into the 13s of years, 14 years.
The Conservatives have had a better record of performing in government than Labour. Yes, certainly since the Thatcher years. Yeah, the Conservatives have done a better job in government, and Labour came back under Blair. But I don't know.
And Keir Starmer, he has a coalition to keep together, going not only if he wins the election and he is Prime Minister, he will have to keep that job together, keep those people together, and weather any potential fallout from a Diane Abbott and others in that coalition, and eroding a potential second to third term.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he has factored all that in.
Yeah. Well, it's much too early. He will have to win the elections first on July 4.
Do you see a possibility of him not winning? I'm genuinely curious.
Based on following it from this distance, yeah, I think he will win. I'm not so sure if he's going to win an outright majority, because somehow the Conservative Party has been a more effective machine in turning out votes on the day, putting votes in the ballot box. So what is a 20-point lead for more than a year now, the latest polls are showing down to 12%.
Interesting.
They need a swing of about 9-10%.
And you should factor that in as well, because places like London is not where the election will be decided.
No. It's the so-called red wall seats.
Precisely.
Yeah. In the north of England. All right. After the break, your calls. You know the numbers to call us. 876-630-937124 or 876-618-8255.
Taboo topics. Voyagings after dark.
Riveting discussions.
Celebrity news and interviews.
Topics that are shunned by society.
And everything else in between. Voyagings After Dark with Kareem Voyagings each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m. Voyagings After Dark. No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored. Voyagings After Dark.
Raise your glass of milk and celebrate World Milk Day 2024 on May 30, 2024 at the Robert Lightburn High School, Trinityville, St. Thomas. World Milk Day is celebrated annually on June 1. But on May 30, Cliffviews Online will be present at this year's staging in Jamaica. Tune in as we celebrate the vital role dairy plays in delivering quality nutrition to nourish the world. Also join us in honoring the dairy farmers in St. Thomas, home of the largest population of dairy farmers. So don't miss Cliffviews Online at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on May 30, 2024. Catch them on the grounds of the Robert Lightburn High School in Trinityville, St. Thomas, or tune in to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Jamaica Dairy Development Board.
It's 7:46 and we're taking your calls. Richie, you're on the line.
Good evening, Siobhan.
How are you doing?
Good evening, Richie.
Tell me something that you use. I play anything I see me want to bread and fax. Huh?
What's that?
You never tell me say I want to bread and fax.
I'm not aware of that.
And then when you keep calling that you use the much brother.
Richie, please.
Anyway. Anyway, the government understands they have 2 more senators. Can you give me an update on it?
What are you talking about?
I'm saying, I understand the government will be having 2 more senators. That's what you said?
What? I'm not aware of that.
You're not aware of it?
No.
So I might be getting it wrong.
Are you speaking about one of the recommendations coming out of the Constitutional Reform Committee?
It's a recommendation.
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. And my mind is racing as to what you could possibly be talking about. There is a recommendation in the CRC, the Constitutional Reform Committee, for the number of members, the number of senators to be increased.
Yes.
Right? And also, it would mean an increase. We now have 3 independent members.
Yes, 3
nominated by the
president.
The president, and the governing side would have from 13 to 15.
Yes.
And the opposition from 8 to 9 or 10. I don't remember the numbers, but that might be what you're hearing. I'm not.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes. Okay. That's a recommendation. I believe that something is in reality. But you know what is my interest? To see Venetia Phillips as a senator.
Oh.
You get me?
Yes, I hear you.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I listened interviewed those 2 ladies this evening. And this is what comes to my mind. I'm wondering if Bruce Gordon and the JLP did not resuscitate this country from P.J. Patterson. I can remember their slogan was, "Don't stop the progress." And to know that all these bad things that happen to the country with this government is just trying to repair. It's caused by P.J. Patterson. I mean, that use, I just does not love to remember the P.J. Patterson. For example, you see what about? Yeah, even PMP talking about bad roads now. You know, bad roads now, in my opinion, you know. I can remember how Darlington Drive in Wallaba start from the housing scheme down to Wallaba Town. I can remember I walked beside Mr. Golden, sister-in-law, Tony Golden's wife, driving her Benz. She couldn't let me to go to town, you know. I can remember when men blocking road all about, even in the hills there, I can remember road back up, Bus Content Way. And the guys cut down big trees and block road, you know. All these bad things that man to see this government reach to this stage where they're rebuilding this thing, this water crisis that is going on in the western section island. I listened to water minister that day said these pipes should change 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. And to see where it is now. I mean, if PJ did get 5 more years of leadership in this country, I don't know where this country will be right now. Mm-hmm. It is just so encouraging to see where this country reached under the JLP in the couple years. I mean, it is here. The COVID was how many years?
Okay.
The COVID was how many years?
The what?
The COVID. It was how many years?
You mean COVID?
Yeah, COVID.
2 going nearly 3 years.
2.5 years. 2.5.
2.5 years. That means, subtract 2.5 years from here. That is almost 5.5. To where this country, this government bring this country back to in the 5.5 years. It is amazing, you know. Mm-hmm. I can remember the government inherited debt where they had was to pay $70 out of every dollar for, what you call it now? $70 in budget. And they bring it down to how much is it now? They bring it down so much, so low that, they have to have money to be fixing water, road, just about everything. And now you find Margot and the PMP come and say, well then, time come, they're going to take this country with him and him tap and arrest friend them. It will not work. Anyway.
Well, the people of Jamaica will have to decide that.
We will have to decide, of course, and I know for sure a lot of them coming to the voters out there, listen them, mm-hmm. and knowing what to do. Mm-hmm. Anyway, take care. Yeah?
Good.
Carl, evening.
Evening. How are you? Evening, Mr. Hughes. So
good evening.
Your big friend, England, having dual citizen visa too now. And your big friend, which call you all the while. Mr. Cleveland is in England a champion.
Don't turn a light on Cleveland.
Cleveland from Red Hills. Yeah, man, Cleveland. You have dual citizen. I say about that England. I then call me from today. I'm not joke business, Mr. Hughes. Cleveland, they're there right now.
Oh?
Yeah, man, Cleveland. I can set up that campaign in England in laugh. Mm-hmm. Anyhow, I know that I call it. Shall I? Yeah. As I always tell you, say, you're kind of young. This year, go grow Jamaica economy by almost 8.5%. Coming here, you said this evening that something wrong with my Caribbean, why our country cannot grow. Well, this year, go policy it grow the economy of Jamaica.
But that was after a severe retraction, was it not?
But the retraction was the disaster of Michael Manley.
Retraction?
As in, the economy had recession, not retraction. Recession.
Oh. That was the disaster of Michael Mann. We tell them to hold on knife light.
So, I mean, those are anomalies in Cleveland. That's essentially us repairing damage. I'm talking about when can we get a sustained 7% growth that is just 7% growth?
We did annual way until coronavirus kind of push we back and say we annual way. Because this morning, me that try to get Mr. Hughes. Because Mr. Hughes, dialogue did so long this morning, need to get about 1.9% growth what we have in our economy. And second, we have to keep up the pressure on a British citizen. We have to keep up the pressure because the more we keep up the pressure, the more we give. And a British citizen. The more we keep up the pressure, the more we get little more out of him. And the more he give a little more, is the more he leading down himself into destruction. Because nothing when put out in a video doesn't make any sense. Because he only give we the Jamaica passport. It's a British one we want to see. And I'm telling you with the British.
Well, him tell us him have one. Him not tell us him have one.
If it Mr. Hughes that we want to see what in a hit and when last him a travel upon it and all of that. That's what we want to see. Because if you look for something, Mr. Hughes, the only reason why Golden they tried to get a Jamaica passport was when he was Minister of Justice under Portia Simpson leadership. That was the only reason. Come here, a gentleman today, a try to convince you and go to section 39, section 40, and then in come a section 9 and section 8, and then you come and read out the kind of what he was trying to tell you about section 8 and section 9. Not never go so. He was sensibly mistake to a lawyer. And him man say, him hear him also too, then he was wondering where he was going. What he was saying about section 8 and section 9, not no go so. Mm-hmm. And him hearing use a word today that nothing that the government say, you can't believe him. Big man, you're talking a bag of garbage. Mm-hmm. And I can give you two of them. The local government election, Golden was in Black River in St. Elizabeth and said the PMP grow the economy in the 70s and the JLP mash it up in the 80s. He said the PMP grow the economy in the 90s, and when Bruce Golden and this year government come there and mash it up, that's a damn lie from the pit of hell. Take that and go on your bed, sir. Go research those for yourself. Even other day, the leader of the opposition tell we say him did bring up fresh hole. And when he come to parliament and he was fast asleep, he couldn't open him out. That Nigel Clark gave him one pile of red card. Hold on upon that, sir, and stop talk foolish. Go do your research and listen. The glean of them is there. You can read it and listen careful. Don't come with your stupidness when you're talking. Don't follow your leader. And what we need. So, Mr. Hughes, before me run, what you need to do to get one ID, your passport or Mr. Golden have?
I have no interest in getting that.
Why would I like to get one?
Well, I have no interest in getting that.
So you don't have no number for Mr. Golden?
Let me tell you something. See, time that the program has come to an end. Have a good evening, Carl.
I like get one passport, man.
Do you not go to the embassy, go apply for it?
But Mr. Golden, like what Mr. Golden is a citizen.
Mr. Golden can't help you with that. Can't help you with that. We can't help you with that. Go and go apply for one.
All right, sir.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you're prepared back in England. All right, that's how we're going to leave it for this evening. We want to say thanks to our producer, Dana Davey, our technical operator, Andrew Anderson, the members of the news and production team led by the editor, Miss Cara Powell.
Capable Cara Powell.
And, of course, to our YouTubers, our tweeps, and our WhatsAppers. Thank you all so much. We're going to say goodnight now. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Reminding you, take care of your loved one and look out for your neighbor.
experience Jamaica